house. It's December. We think everybody's out shopping, but you're here. And so we are grateful. I just want to go ahead and get us started. Um, I think we have public comments, so we can just go ahead and transition into hearing from our residents. Do we know who's up?
Ms. Wimberly can come to the podium. Yeah, Ms. Wimberly.
Yeah, public comment.
Speaker. Okay, thank you so much. Great morning. Thank you all again for allowing us to come and have a conversation or discussion about paratransit experiences in Broward County. I want to thank you for your attention and influence that helped us elevate concerns shared by disabled community members and their families who rely on the Broward County penny surtax funded paratransit programs, including TOPS and Rider's Choice. We are happy to share that our engagement with this board in October paved the way for significant collaborative discussions with Broward County Transit's leadership team. Thank you. Outcomes directly credited to this board's interest in real solutions include BCT and county administration staff finally responding to our request to connect and talk about the unique challenges and opportunities to improve customer care for disabled neighbors, especially visually impaired paratransit customers. This board helped open communication flows with BCT representatives as well as Transportation America regarding serious safety risks related to contracted drivers' job performance. We have commitments from BCT and for the formation of a community work group that could more effectively capture facts, safety events, diverse hazards, expectations, and opportunities to create tools for continuous process improvement and potential new program offerings that could uplift customer confidence and satisfaction in Broward County's commitment towards disabled persons using public transportation services. Now, although the contractor responsible for the dispatch services and ride scheduling has not reached out to any of our community partners, we are working with Broward County Transit to assess how paratransit dispatchers' handling of riders' reports of customer care complaints, safety events, and incidents related to non-compliant vehicles and riders' environments on the vehicles from the time of pickup to they reach their destination. And another significant outcome is that we are thankful for the confirmation from the chief auditor that the long-anticipated paratransit audit has finally commenced. Am I out of time? Okay, I thought I was.
You have 1 more minute.
Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, 1 more minute and 10 seconds, right? Okay, we learned that the paratransit audit started 2 weeks ago in response to our team's advocacy at Broward County, during our team's advocacy at the Broward County Commission meeting this past Tuesday. Thank you for inspiring the opportunity to enhance the integrity of the complaints and investigation processes, as well as reinforcing safety for all riders relying on BCT paratransit services. Thank you, thank you, thank you for helping us highlight to BCT and the contractors the importance of respecting the rights of disabled persons to expect pleasant, safe, and appropriately accommodating public transportation experiences that all people deserve. Thank you for helping us demonstrate that this board believes that disabled, vulnerable community members matter and that the public transportation programs are accountable to sustainable reliability, dependability, compliance with the contract terms, enforcement of disincentives, and verifiable, measurable quality assistance systems in the best interest of BCT paratransit customers. We can't again say thank you enough for allowing us to speak back in October. It has encouraged our group, as well as the persons who are using BCT paratransit service and their families, that somewhere in the near future, they will be able to have an adequate system to report their complaints, follow up with those complaints, as well as see significant improvements in the overall experience for our vulnerable neighbors in Broward County. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you, and happy holidays.
All right. I thank you for your advocacy. And I'm happy that we were able to respond accordingly and that things are moving in the right direction. So good job. We have 2 more. All right, can we just invite our next public speakers?
Yeah, Ms. Tanil Brown, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tennille Brown. The name of my organization is Reuben Stacy Studio for Innovation and Education. I'd first like to thank you all.
Can you speak up a little?
Absolutely. My name is Tennille Brown. The name of my organization is Reuben Stacy Studio for Innovation and Education. I would like to thank everyone for allowing us to come before you today and speak. This originally started with us working on food security projects. So we're grateful that we're able to even bring these sort of issues to your attention. So thank you so much. What I would like to do is highlight a few things before you today. I'm here to address critical mobility issues that affect some of the most vulnerable members of the community. The visually impaired riders, seniors, and individuals who rely every single day on Broward County Transit and paratransit services. Across our county, we are seeing ongoing safety challenges that must be addressed with urgency. Riders are experiencing inconsistent driver protocol, unsafe or incorrect drop-off locations, and a lack of proper guidance from the vehicle to safe point of entry. For visually impaired and mobility challenged riders, these are not small inconveniences. They are serious safety risks that threaten independence, dignity, and well-being. When a rider is dropped off in an unfamiliar or unsafe location, when a driver fails to follow protocol, or when there is no one ensuring proper guidance and support, it creates fear and confusion and sometimes real physical danger. These are preventable issues, and they must be treated as such. And we are thankful that Broward County is willing to listen to us. The gaps in accessibility within our transportation system is a major issue across the board, and we're just asking that you please hear us and please just act on these issues urgently. Thank you.
Thank you. So one quick question. Are you connected to the speaker before?
I am.
Okay, so you're just reinforcing.
I'm pretty much reinforcing what we are doing is we work collectively. We started working on these projects. We started working together on food security. Within different churches, within different organizations. And what started to happen with this group was when they were talking about food security, safety came up. The first issue was we're not able to participate in drive-through food pickups because they do it quarterly at the park. Okay. They said they're not able to participate. So from that point, we started to listen to some of the other issues that they were having in terms of safety. And the thing that came up the most was riders, okay. The way that they're being dropped off. And some of them would arrive to the meetings late. And if they were not arriving late, then they were having issues with drivers. Okay. So over the last, I want to say 9 months, probably 10 at this point, we just were working with them to come up with options that better options for them, okay. Whether it's family, whether it's us getting involved, just any issue that they may be having, whether it's food, whether it's safety, whether it's security, anything that they feel like they need help with. We have different community partners that we work with. So my organization, Reuben Stacy Studio, I work with them on providing a voice, how to be a bit more independent, how to address daily life issues, even though they're visually impaired. There's Save Broward that works with them on different types of contracts and just understanding what's being brought before them. There's South Florida Hunger Coalition that provides the fresh produce for them, as well as talking to them about stability. And then we have Rose of Sharon that would provide the lunch for every single meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the great work you're doing. I have a background doing exactly similar things, working at Feeding South Florida and Carrefour Supportive Housing. So I have a lot of respect for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And as you see, we feel just as passionate about making sure that we're keeping all of the residents of Broward County safe.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to them as well. They're not here today, but every chance that we get, we're constantly advocating for them in every single way that we can.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Who do we have up?
Jennifer Wilson, if you're here, you can come up to the podium.
She couldn't make it
Miss Jennifer is a visually impaired writer, and she was able to attend the commission meeting with us on Tuesday, and wanted to be here this morning. We're unsure if it was work or transportation that has delayed her this morning, so she's not here. But we do thank you all for just having the opportunity for her to speak. Thank you.
Right. All right, so we hear you loud and clear, and you know you have our support, and we know you have the county's support. So we're all surrounding you, and it's good that you brought it to our attention. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Douglas?
Ms. Kimberly, I assume you're very satisfied at this point.
We're not very satisfied. We're happy, but we're not very
Okay.
satisfied. We'll be very
All right.
satisfied when we actually have things implemented and the changes in place. Then we'll be satisfied.
That's good.
Thank you.
Corey had sent us a memo. I didn't know if she wanted to say anything this morning.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all. I think I'm up next on the agenda anyway, so it's perfect timing. What I want to say is that the three ladies that we have been working with on this are incredibly committed people, and their passion is genuine for the communities that they're representing. And it is an honor to actually hear some of the feedback. While I would say that I love the feedback, that would be disingenuous, but I think we are on the right track now to get some meaningful changes done. And I think that's what is most important, is that we move forward in a better direction than where we are previously. I do believe that there's room for improvement, and I have some other things that I'll talk about as part of my presentation for this morning. But thank you for an opportunity to speak.
Well, as I understand it, the timing is probably good because this contract's up for renewal, and this will provide a great opportunity for you to address these concerns with all of the bidders, whoever they are.
Yes,
It's
so
not-
that's a good point. And one of the things that, and I'll just, get cut to the chase here. It was part of my presentation today, but I want to make you aware that we are reimagining what that contract's going to look like. We had what we call a market sounding day. And a industry day where we invited people who would be interested, firms, in providing this service going forward, to come in and actually sit down, hear what the plan is, right, to get some input from them on what they think would make the RFP process better for them. So we want to hear from the market. It's always good. It's a best practice to kind of listen to the people who are bidding on your projects to make sure that your contract makes sense. But at the same time, we're not going to compromise the integrity of our process in favor of the market, but whatever makes sense for forward momentum we'll pursue. One of the things we did is we invited our colleagues in the room here. Ms. Tennille, she did come to the meeting, and we're encouraging our potential bidders to reach out to our advocates to find out personally what they are saying and what their concerns are, so that they can be responsive when they put their proposals together. The next contract, this contract ends in December of, at the end of the year in 2026, and we are in the middle of the RFP process now.
Do we have only one company that's providing this service?
Right now, we initially, my understanding is we initially started off with two, and now we're down to one. We're looking at a similar framework from the perspective of a multi-award, so that we have multi-vendors. One of the other things that we are looking to add to this contract potentially is microtransit services. So the Rider's Choice program might be folded into this proposal as well. But we're still, working with the market to kind of get a feel for what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. One of the things that we did here, which was a major concern, was our insurance provisions. It seems to be a barrier for some firms to respond to the proposal. Another barrier that we have, quite frankly, is that the proposer has to have a physical presence here in Broward County to accommodate the vehicles and the maintenance of the vehicles. They can't be, you know, somewhere in South Miami. They can't be up in Palm Beach County because, as you can imagine, the wear and tear on our vehicles would be extraordinarily high with deadheads when you're not actually moving our passengers. So that is another challenge that we have.
How is that impacting our 30% goal?
So we are looking at, so right now, the last contract was 30% for the selection criteria. And so we're looking at something probably closer to 10. Now, I believe that contract was let in 2013, right? 2015, okay, so it's about 10 years old, 2015. And at that time, 2015, guess what didn't happen? Hadn't happened yet. Exactly. So I think that a lot of emphasis was placed on the cost, and our emphasis now is going to be placed on the quality of the service in this next contract, and that's what you'll see in the bid. So it'll be a shift.
Okay, it sounds like to me, if I recall, you gave some special sensitivity training to your bus drivers, the general bus drivers. It sounds to me that these transit bus drivers, I think there's 30 plus or minus of them, needs some sensitivity training too. So I would encourage you to put that in the requirement that they're going to go through in their next contract.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So before we
Let me sit down,
transition,
Madam Chairman.
we need to do roll call.
Sit. Okay.
We have roll calls. So, but thank you all for your comments. Can we go ahead, Roy, and proceed?
Good morning, everybody. Raymond McElroy. Here. Thank you. Anthea Pennant Wallace.
Here.
Alan Hooper.
Here.
Douglas Coleman. You're up. Yeah.
I'm here twice.
Thank you. Phil Allen.
Here.
Ardal Dames is online.
Online, joining by Zoom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ardal. Good morning. Ronald Frazier is running late. Debbie Madden and Shay Smith will be absent today, Chair. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Who's?
Debbie Madden and
Right,
Shay
right.
Smith
I
will
was
be
about
absent
to
today.
say that. Okay, very good. I understand. All right, but we have a quorum, so we are good to move forward. And so we want to just go ahead and invite you back up.
Guess what?
It's you again.
So, again, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really excited to share with you and hopeful, you know how this room treats me sometimes, that everything goes as according to plan with our electronics here. So having said that, today we're going to talk a little bit about what has happened since we last met. I'm going to bring you up to speed on where we are with the Primo program. I'm going to talk a little bit about our bus stop improvement efforts, and then talk a little bit about the COA, the Comprehensive Operational Analysis. We have dubbed it Transit Forward 2024, so we've rebranded it. So when you hear that, that is what we're referencing. Since we last met, so a couple things have happened, some good things. So first of all, we just received a $20 million grant
Wow.
from the FTA for our low emissions program for our buses. We are super excited to be able to accept that grant. We are able to work on low emission procurements for our buses. And what's even better is that we're appreciative of this board because there's a 40% match that we will be using the surtax to pay for. So what that looks like is we'll have about 24 new buses that we'll be able to purchase with this grant plus the match. We'll also be able to offer new training on those buses for our mechanics, and we'll also be able to have spare parts for those buses. So this is quite an accomplishment. So overall, right now, in the last 2 years, we've gotten more grant money than we have from a discretionary perspective ever. And our total grant take at this point is about $45 million from the FTA for low emission.
Congratulations. For sure.
Thank you. Thank you. We're very proud of that. Our grant team, I'll pass that feedback on to our grant team. Also, one of the things that is really exciting is that our Route 48, it's a service that runs along 441, Hillsborough, US 1, and Lyons Road. It connects into Deerfield Beach. By popular demand, our passengers were asking us to add the Sunday service back, and we did. So we've been able to bring that service back. So we're excited, and at no additional cost for that. We also hosted industry days for our bus rapid transit program. And so what we're doing is we're putting out a general engineering contract, multi-award contract that will focus on our bus rapid transit service. And we had the industry day similar to what we just talked about. This is a way for us to engage with the market, let them know what's coming, and well in advance of when the RFPs are due, or even when the procurement comes out, with the intent of always following up with one-on-ones, which we did with the paratransit service recently. We also hosted the paratransit service, and one of the things that we're super excited that we were able to do was to host or support the Career Source Broward, their 13th annual Paychecks for Patriots job fair. So this was an amazing event that they host. They've been doing this for about 13 years, and they host this job fair to try to connect people who are obviously in needs of work with potential employers. And one of the things is that we provided bus service to support that, and we were able to transport about 70 people who needed jobs to those locations so that they could be a part of the job fair. So we are really excited to be part of Paychecks for Patriots. Not only did we help with the transportation, we also were there as a vendor and taking in and having conversations with people who were looking for work. Now, so far, the county is kind of we're somewhat in a little bit of a hiring freeze right now. So I don't know what the outcome is going to be for those applicants. But what we do is we'll keep those applicants on file, and when opportunities become available, we'll reach back out to them. The one other thing that's exciting too is that we have been working, as you know, with BSO to improve the security on our fixed route service. And one of the things that happened in October that is incredibly happy to have occurred is that we were able to negotiate a deal and sign and execute a deal with BSO for their real-time crime center to actually be able to look at within our buses and see real-time what's going on in our buses. So we're doing that on the interior of our buses as well as the exterior of our buses. So we are truly a partner with law enforcement. It's to their advantage to be able to have that access if they're looking at a crime that's not even related to us, but it's also to our advantage to have that service available in case something happens on our system. The police can look right in and assess the situation and support it. So,
is that real time?
Mm-hmm. It's real time. Yes, sir. Now, we are working through some, it's always the technology. Sometimes it's not always compatible, but we are really close to being able to have those systems talk to each other appropriately. And I hope by the next time I come back, I can tell you that it's turned on and working. Okay. So the other thing is, where are we right now? It's kind of December, and lots of fun things happen in December. And one of the fun things that we are super excited to share is that we're doing a holiday promotion on our system, and I'm going to let you see a little bit about it. So we have this promotion that we're offering. Have you ever heard of the show where people get in a cab and they get asked questions and they can kind of answer the questions and they get money? Right? You've heard about that TV show? Okay, I see some nods. It's a fun show to watch, right? Well, imagine that on a bus. But, however, now we're not giving out money. We don't have any to give. But we do have passes. And so we are doing a holiday pass cab bus similar to that, where we will be having an opportunity to ask people engage with our riders and ask questions and have them win passes. So it's one of those promotions for the holiday season that we're super excited to be able to bring to our passengers. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about our ridership for fiscal year 2025. Overall, we had a ridership of about 26 million system-wide. That breaks down into multiple categories. We had about a ridership of about 23 million on our fixed route service, about 1.15 in our paratransit service, and 100,000 rides on our Rider's Choice program, and our community shuttle program captured about a ridership of 1.4 million, and our Late Shift Connect program captured about 12,000 trips. What I want to say is that the overall ridership was down about 0.13%. However, what we did see was a 282% increase over year from fiscal year 2024 to today with our Late Shift Connect. That is a program that the Surtax has been very interested in and has supported very vigorously. And I'm pleased to share that we saw that significant increase. Why and how did we get there? Because we had a very aggressive advertising campaign that helped us raise awareness about the Late Shift Connect. Just to remind everybody about what that is the service that's available for people who work that third shift, who aren't able to ride our system because it shuts down at a certain hour, either before they go to work or after they leave work. And so that's a concern. We also saw a 68% increase.
Corey?
I'm sorry?
So, because I do have thoughts on that, but how does it work exactly?
Okay, so what we do is we have a subsidy that we give to the passenger, and so they have about $30 that they can use to go, I think about 15 miles or so, right, within the county. And so what they do is they register, so they have to be residents of Broward County to be able to take advantage of the service. We actually have quite a few county employees that use it too, but what it does is it takes them from door to door. So it operates, the hours that we don't. But we don't just, because we shut down on average around 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning. But we offer this service for somebody that's starting at 9 if we don't have any fixed route service to support them. And then we allow them, and an additional change that we made is we used to say that you have to go from your original destination to work, and then from work back to your home. What we found is that our riders, actually some of them that are working this third shift, work 2 jobs. So what we do now is we allow them to go to a third location, another employment location, if they need to, rather than going home. And then the last leg of that trip would be done on a fixed route service.
And is it basically Uber or something like that?
So right now we're using Yellow Cab Taxi for that service. We are piloting it now with Uber. And one of the things with the new paratransit contract we'll be looking at is pulling that all together into that contract. And then TNC will likely pick that up.
And then on the rider's choice, I'm only picking the 2 that are the lowest, although the one growing is good, because that was kind of something we started, right? We were trying to grow it. And so tell me about the rider's choice. What is that?
So the rider's choice The Rider's Choice program is very similar to Late Shift Connect. However, the population that is served through Rider's Choice is our paratransit passengers. So you have to be in the paratransit program to be eligible to take advantage of Rider's Choice. That service is also provided through Yellow Cab. Whoever needs to use that. This is for some of our the paratransit population that are more independent. They can use that service if they want to go to work or go to trips or doctor's appointments, whatever they need to use it for. And it's a great service, and a lot of people do take advantage of it. However, this number is low, but our intent is to see it grow.
So it's in lieu of the paratransit shuttle.
Yep.
Okay, and do we get that word out as well as we've gotten the Late Shift Connect?
I say we do get it out. We have done kind of promotions within the paratransit community. So when people call into our call center, we've made them aware of the service that's available. We haven't done a mass media campaign, right? Because it's just a different audience, because it is a very contained and select group. But we have done some marketing. Have we gotten the numbers, the ideal number of numbers? No, we would rather have a lot more people take advantage of it. But we are growing it, and we will continue to promote it within the group. Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Corey, great chart. So if you're moving 26 million people a year, you're moving 72,000 a day, which probably is somewhere, that's one way, right? And one way back. Could be the same person.
Could be the same person.
Could be as little as 36,000 people a day
Yep.
we're moving.
Yep.
Do we have any idea what we're spending to move 72,000 trips or 36 or 40,000? I mean, people always ask me, how much are we spending on buses? Well, there's buses, there's maintenance, some are fared, some aren't. What percentage of you probably don't have to answer this today, but I'm just curious, if we know what the cost is, we know how many people now we're moving, what percentage of it are we recovering, and I guess the rest is being paid for out of our surtax or taxes, right?
Yeah, so it's a combination of factors, right? So part of it is coming from our formula funding grant that we get from the FTA, which is available to all of the transit agencies in South Florida. The other part of it, and a significant part of it, at least the salary side of it, is coming from the surtax. And then we also have grants from FDOT that help in particular support our express service. And then we have our fare box revenues as well, and we get a little bit of money from the local gas tax, and then we get a little bit from concurrency too.
Well, I think a great chart, and hopefully we'll get more information as time goes on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to go back?
Yeah.
A little bit. So go ahead, and then I had a question.
So the 1.3% decrease in ridership, do we know which routes this was on? Were there any route changes? What do you think we can do to get those riders back? And because 1.3 of fixed ridership is 340,000 roughly.
So it's 0.13%.
0.13. So we
Yeah.
basically stayed.
So we're pretty
Okay.
close to where we were. We did take a hit on our breeze service a little bit, but the numbers are statistically not significant.
Yeah.
However, lost rider is a lost rider. We don't want to lose any of them. Some of the issues sometimes when you see these kind of incremental decreases in ridership, it could be because of employment factors. People's situation changes, or they're able to buy a car and then they choose to do that rather than ride the system.
And then our revenue hours, were they increased or decreased, or are they the same?
Revenue hours are the same, except for we added that Route 42 service.
Okay. Do you think going forward, when you present this chart, you can put it like in a line chart that shows the year over year compared to the previous year? So there's context of these numbers, and then we could easily see the shifts up and down in the ridership?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I'm curious about the demographics of the folks. Are we capturing that kind of information? I just remember that there was a time where we were really trying to ensure that the next generation become more familiar with riding bus, and we're starting to cultivate that kind of behavior, especially our college students, wanting to make sure they're taking advantage of our transit system. And so I wasn't sure whether or not we had started down that road, because I know the push has been just to get us back to pre-COVID numbers. But I still want to keep that in mind, because we're building something that we hope, as our population increase over time, that we have another generation of folks that can appreciate riding the bus. We know in South Florida, people tend not to take the bus. If you live in New York, people are taking the buses all the time. But I just want to make sure that we kind of keep tabs on that. And I don't know if there's a mechanism to do that. That was one thing. And then the other thing, as far as outreach, have we looked into the faith-based strategy to get our churches and synagogues and whoever it is to start advertising some of what we're doing with
So I don't know that we tapped into the faith-based market. Let me take that away as an action item. I'm going to look into it and see if there's something that we've ever done in the past. And I don't know that we've done it, but I know that we're not doing it now. But I'll find out and get back to you if I can, ma'am.
Right. And then on the demographics, we're not really tracking.
So the demographics we did have through the Transit Forward 2040 program. We did capture the comprehensive operational analysis. We did capture some demographic information through that. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the breakdown, but I can certainly get it to you. One of the things, though, that was illuminating at best is that, about 30% of our riders make under $11,000 a year.
Okay.
So that was that.
The income.
Very much an imprint in my brain. And in terms of the college market, we do have a lot of students that use us. We do have a special pass for students. But the other thing is that we have been reaching out to the elementary schools and some of the schools and doing programs with the schools to raise awareness about transit and that as an option. And we actually got an award for that. I shared with you the last time I was here. So that is also part of the strategy to get after the up and coming market, to convince them that transit's the best way.
Absolutely.
Athena, I just want to share this too, so the board has context. We're looking and we talk about pre-COVID ridership numbers, but we have to remember there was a point in time that BCT did 40 million rides a year. So this number of 24 million rides shows us that there's a huge latent demand of riders that have ridden the bus historically. This was back pre-COVID, pre-Uber, which took a lot of our riders off because they had the choice of convenience of calling a ride-sharing app. But as the prices go up, I see it as that's a core market that we should be hoping to recapture, because those are people that don't need to be converted from driving to that. They already have experience with the bus ridership, and that's the number I would like to always measure against, is our all-time high, because I would like to get back there eventually.
What year was that, Ray, that you're referencing?
It's tough, but it correlates almost exactly with maybe 2007. There was two things that simultaneously affected it. Was Uber, Lyft, and the 2008 recession. So I don't know exactly, but I know the old historical data, and this is not a unique situation to BCT. This is not a thing. This is across the country, massive ridership. This change has happened. But that is a core group of people I think we can get back. And I think we should constantly keep that in our mind, is like, those are the riders we want, because that's 20 million riders off our roads and beneficial to the system.
Sure. I want to chase that number, Ray. Can I talk to you offline? Because I hadn't heard that 40 million, but I want to talk to you about that. And I agree with you that if it was that much of a disparity, that's certainly a warm market.
Well, if I can just chime in, I think we have to balance that with the lift and all of what has happened since then.
Yeah.
Right, because that's going to be there. So you don't want to totally kill the opportunities that these individuals have making a living. doing that as well. So
Yeah.
it's a delicate balance, something to think about.
Uh,
Go
also,
ahead, Alan.
Also, when I sat on the TMA board for Fort Lauderdale, which is Transportation Management Authority, the 2008 recession increased our ridership incredibly. It was a big thing. And the thing is, there's choice riders and there's people that ride because they have to. And an Uber rider is essentially a choice rider at the end of the day. And then also some people, you know, when they can afford to have a car, they want to have a car. So when the economy is doing very well, it takes away some of our riders who choose to drive a car. But that's not to say that the effort of getting 26 million riders for people who need the system is bad. I think it's a cyclical thing, and I don't think you can point to that, because the 2008 recession was horrible. It really did drive a lot of people to become non-choice riders.
Yeah, I remember there's actually a spike in 08
Yes.
of ridership
Yes.
across systems.
Well, I appreciate the historical reference. Thank you. Okay. What's this thing doing here? Okay, so we're going to talk about Primo now, which is another topic. And I am well aware that the hook is coming. So I'm going to try to go through this very quickly. I'm happy to come back if you need me to go through things in a little more detail. And I'm just going to let you know where things are with Primo. I do want to point out that this beautiful bus right here is a wrapped bus that is out on the system promoting Primo. And I know that, Mr. Hooper, this is something that you've been wanting us to do, and we have got it done.
Holiday bus, also a wrap?
It's wrapped, yes.
The holiday one?
Yeah,
too?
but I can't tell you where it is, Ray.
Oh, it's pretty.
Not out. It's out there somewhere.
It's like a
It's on the streets. Call me. Hey, Ray. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Strategy. So just a reminder, I'm just these next couple slides are just to bring you back to, this conversation we've already had a lot, but strategy is, countywide transit service. The goals are to improve mobility for all, implement equitable transit solutions so that we're making sure that we tap into the full market here in Broward County, to enhance economic development and financial stability, to improve safety, security, and environmental stewardship, and to integrate and serve communities. The other goal is to take care of Mr. Allen, your favorite places, right? So the economic engines of the county, the airport, seaport, and convention center, that's one of the connections that is very important to us. Overall, remember, we gained 200 miles of new transit service. We're looking at a ridership of about 23 million on that new service, about 100% low or no emission buses and vehicles. Now, the electric market is still where it is, and we're struggling a little bit because of it. But the reality is that we're not ready to be in that space. The market's not ready for us to be in that space. So we're in the low emission space. But with the light rail, that is electric, and so that will be 100% electric. We'll have new intelligent transportation systems. And lastly, as a reminder, we want to blend in and to the community and be an asset and not an eyesore.
Excuse me, before you, I'm sorry. The low emission versus electric, didn't the board, the county commission take a policy of electric only in the past?
There was
that led us to the
there was originally a compact that was signed with a bunch of cities around the country to try to go all electric. I think it was more of an aspiration than an actual, hard, fast goal. I know that we were trying to get there by 2035. That was the target time frame. But yeah, I believe the board did take that action, right? Yeah.
Well, how does that now interface with a growing demand, or you you talked about the grant that you had received for $20 million or
Yep.
whatever.
So
Low emission versus electric only.
good question. Thank you for it. You may recall we had this big signing ceremony with the FTA for $25 million for our electric bus fleet. What happened, as you know, we got the Proterra buses, and unfortunately they didn't work for us or anyone else in the country. As my colleague here, who helped us navigate that bankruptcy process, our colleagues in the county attorney's office. And so at the end of the day, the FTA, because it's a discretionary grant, the requirement is if you apply for low emission or no emission, you have to stay with no emission. And so we petitioned the FTA to give us the opportunity to change that from no to low. Low just means hybrid. It could be propane, it's clean gas, it's all those things, right? And fuel cells, et cetera. And they initially were not big fans of giving us the opportunity to switch over from low to no, and they were kind of asking us to give the money back. And we, held out. And when the new administration came in, we took another bite at it, and the policy shift was to allow certain communities to change from low to no, from no to low, sorry. So no, from electric to low emission.
This is kind of random, but the connecting activity centers, maybe I never actually understood this, but is the county's land use plan for LRT is to connect the regional activity centers? Is that kind of how it works?
Well, it's a good question, and thank you, Raymond. These economic engines that we're talking about are county owned, and they're the airport, seaport, and convention center.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll see the map when I get to that. Well, it eventually goes all the way out to Sawgrass Mills Mall, which is another major economic engine here in South Florida. My understanding is it's like the second largest tourist attraction in the state. So, it's right behind Mickey, I guess. But at any rate, those initial connections are really important to make it very seamless to connect between the airport, seaport, and the convention center.
So is there any, this is kind of out of context because I remember we did have that update from the land use plan. Is there any other land use conversations or conversation tracks happening between the county's planning department and yourself, or no, right?
So the corridors that were selected from Primo, my understanding is that there's TOD plans that are
Tied
land
into
use
them
plans
already.
that are, yes.
Okay, that's kind of remember. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Weren't you at that meeting where we talked about it?
I remember someone came and gave a presentation to us
Yeah.
about the Broward County Next or something like that, and that
Yeah.
had some land use that was incorporated with Primo.
So
All right, just making-
yes, it's connected.
Okay.
No, I was thinking about the planning meeting. I thought I saw you there. Maybe. Okay. Okay. I'm moving on because I'm getting the hook. How much time do I have? 6. Oh, no. Okay, real quick. This is the Primo network. You've seen this before. This is the Broward County Commuter Rail South. Remember, that's that connects with the Northeast Corridor in Miami. We have 3 stations, the airport, Hollywood, and South Fort Lauderdale. I'm pleased to share that we did get our grant application in on time. We're trying to get about just north of $300 million from the federal government to help pay for this project. It's about 46% of the cost. Fingers crossed that we're successful. And if we are, that'll be a great thing. So just stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you posted. We put in about the overall submission was about 5,000 pages, and it took about a year for us to pull it together. It included financial models, ridership models. It was quite a lift. We were fortunate to be able to work with some of our consultants and staff to bring that home. Next slide. I'm going the wrong way.
I know we said 6 minutes, but this is, do you mind if I keep asking a few questions?
All right, go ahead.
So would you mind, I know I asked this to Gretchen and she related to you, but it was too late. but would you be able to provide us slides in the future of each plan and just a very general itemized bucket of costs so we can kind of better understand the estimated investment of 712 million? So because it looks like at this point, if you add up all the rail, it's pushing 2 billion, and that's without the bridge or the tunnel, which would add another 500 to another billion. So in total, this project's looking like 3 billion. And I'm kind of wondering where a lot of those costs are going. Because to my understanding, we're still programmed. And I know there's a lot of variables in the air between the FVCR and Group of Mexico and Brightline, depending on track rights. But if we're going to be spending of upwards of already 2 billion and upwards of maybe 3 billion, I would just want to make sure that we're doing better than the 1 hour frequency that was originally proposed for this route. Because if we need to spend another 500 million to quad track certain segments and create bypasses, then I think we should do that additional investment if we can get the frequency down to 15 minutes. But to put $3 billion into a rail corridor, which, trust me, I want this corridor. I ride Tri-Rail all the time. It's more convenient for me. I just think we should be, as we're doing these numbers, get the best bang for our buck.
Go ahead, Phil.
The last time that this board considered the issue of the mega project of being primo and what was projected cost, that number was like $2 billion over the next 5-10 years. Now, if you look at the projects, I'm understanding that there is an estimate of $5 billion in that corridor now. And it goes back to the concern of how do we ensure that these projects that I don't know, when we look at this project as a board, we're looking at it in a totality, or I'm sorry, in individual projects, the commuter rail, the other issues, and there's no focus on how these projects interface to each other. Mm-hmm. It goes back to the concern that this board had taken a position in the past, being to the county administration, is the need to have some kind of a monitor that looks at the issues of, well, what if you get this piece of the project, but the next piece of the project, which is integrated here, doesn't proceed on schedule, or that one part of the project starts to impact the hardware that is used for the rail, whether those are the same projects or how you interface those projects, whether it be the airport hub, the donut.
Intermodal center.
Mm-hmm. The donut and
yeah, the intermodal center
interface, and how do you get from leg to leg from a potential passenger perspective, but also how that drives the overall project. So that is an ongoing concern that I don't see at this point in time being addressed.
Yeah, and Mr. Allen, you have definitely raised this issue before, and I know Kevin has come up and addressed the county administration's overall coordination of the projects, in particular between the airport, seaport, and the convention center, because there's a lot going on there, right? We just opened up the 17th Street bypass. The hotel, which is absolutely stunning, beautiful, and just amazing, will be opening up soon too. We have the convention center expansion. We have parking garage that we're building in that area with about 4,800 spaces. We're looking at adding additional parking at the seaport. I can promise you, just this past Monday, all of the directors and its staff were in a room together doing that coordination. And so I'm going to have Kevin come back here and explain that. I know we have Isami here too, and she can talk to that as well, because she's now in charge of the Public Works Department. But there is that coordination is happening at the county with all of us, because we are so codependent. And if we don't do it right, to your point, if there's not that coordination, we're going to be wasting a lot of money in each other's way.
Well, as I pointed out in the past, we have, not us, but as a nation, we have had these kinds of mega projects, which looked great on paper until you started to interface all these elements, whether that was the Boston fiasco.
The big dig.
Right. The Alaska Bridge to Nowhere, California.
High-speed rail.
Heavy rail, or fast rail, or whatever they want to call it.
High-speed rail, yeah.
Where they've gone ahead and built all of the overpasses to allow the project to proceed. But the big project, which is the high-speed rail, is dead because of the cost. So why did we build all those bridges, those overpasses in California to support a project that's never going to proceed, or the Canadian or the Alaska issue with the bridges to nowhere? So that's the kind of focus that we need to continue to monitor that,
right.
To see that we're not going out and buying something with the intent that it's going to interface with another project, but they don't match, or that it starts to drive the people mover, whatever the current talk is, that influences the project for South County. So that's an ongoing concern.
My take on the convention center, seaport, airport, those are, again, you're taking people that hotel is going to have an 80% occupancy, maybe 85% occupancy on 800 rooms, and a lot of people are double occupants. So you're taking like 1,000 to 1,200 cars off the road that are going to be going from 17th Street to the airport, or they're going to want to go to Sawgrass Mills because that's what tourists like to do. So that, I think, is super important. And then connecting to the seaport, again, you've got cruise riders that are typically either trying to find a way back to the airport. I think it's a seamless, I think those are good moves, okay? And then I believe that if you do that first, and then you start working that south commuter rail, and then you start working towards getting to Sawgrass, you're going to find, I think you're right, you're going to find some bumps in the road, but I also think that if you do it the way you're sequencing it now, it's probably the correct way to go. Just being a native from Fort Lauderdale, living here my whole life. And then the other thing is the Sawgrass, don't underestimate the demand to want to go to Sawgrass. So that's an anchor out west. And then you've got downtown and the airport and the seaport here. I think you have to connect big anchors like that. And then my other thought is, why are we here? Why are we here? My opinion, there's two words, let's go. Okay, let's just go. Let's do it. Let's get it done. And at some point, we've got to kind of throw a little bit of fear away and go with the wind and move forward and let progress happen. The big dig, to me, costs a ton of money. Biggest success I've ever seen in the long run, okay? And that's the same thing with this Rider's Choice and the Connect, Late Night Connect. Right now, it's costing us money, but in the long run, over time, stuff is going to pay off and it's going to work. And I think your sequencing is good. So in my opinion, I'm like, let's go. Let's knock it out.
Thank you. If again, she's giving me the eye. So I just want to show you, I'm just going to fast forward very quickly. I'd like to show you, this is the Airport Seaport Connector.
We begin our flyover facing north. Approaching the interchange, we reach the proposed intermodal center, the western hub for the Airport Seaport Convention Center Connector Project. Extending east, the orange alignment illustrates a potential route first developed by a previous study. This path curves north, near Northeast 7th Avenue, runs to I-595 and Eller Drive, then turns east toward the seaport. Along the way, we spot nearby development, including the FPL power plant and overhead transmission lines. McIntosh Road appears below, linking to Southport, while Eisenhower Boulevard stretches toward Northport. The Port Administration Building comes into view, with the first potential station site marked in blue. An alternate alignment and station location are shown as well. As we move deeper into the port, Cruise Terminal 19 appears to the north, followed by Terminal 29 to the east and Terminal 26 to the northeast, with the Palm Garage nearby. Panning westward, Cruise Terminals 18 and 21 emerge, with Terminal 25 just south. The alignment then turns west toward Eisenhower Boulevard, passing fuel farms and port energy facilities before continuing north. At Northport, we see Cruise Terminal 4 and the Heron Garage, then Terminal 2 with the Convention Center Garage and another possible station location. The existing Convention Center and its new expansion rise to the east, followed by the Omni Convention Center Hotel near Southeast 17th Street. Finally, the flyover concludes at the potential North Terminus station site along Eisenhower Boulevard, just south of Southeast 17th Street.
Broward County Transit, powered by Primo.
Okay, so I'm going to just kind of not do that again, sorry.
Can I
Fast
just
forward.
ask, was there a consultant that is currently doing that environmental study? That
Yes,
this
sir.
is part of that project?
Yes.
Because I did see that they commented about the previous environmental study that was aborted because of a change in federal rules.
Yep.
So
That data
I mean,
says.
that project, that 10-year, or that project was
I
last
needed that
studied
sugar
10
rush.
years ago. And I think while a lot of the suggestions are still valid, it still shows the need for the interface back to the airport project and how that works. Okay.
Yep, yes, sir.
I just want to say one thing about the LRT to the board too. The reason I was asking for a bucket list to break down costs, hard costs, soft costs, and contingencies is there was a report that came out from New York University called it was a transit cost study. And they put all these researchers and PhD people in a room and basically gave them data to analyze and figured out why it's so expensive to build in America nowadays. And one of the big outcomes was that politically projects don't want to go over budget. So what we see happen is that contingencies constantly get built in, and so that we can stay within budget. But the contractors and consultants are really good at consuming those contingencies. So they'll make it match that new price, even though we could have taken a little bit of political heat and got it for less. So I would just want to make sure to understand the percentage of contingency,
Right,
stuff
so
like
we
that.
follow the FTA guidelines for contingencies. So they have stipulated
Yeah,
a
of
schedule
course.
based on the risk and the point you are in the project. So the planning stage has a certain contingency, and then it goes up, and you have more, less of a contingency, obviously, when you get to the engineering phase, when you have your hard engineering done.
Okay.
And so that we follow the FTA. The study that you're referencing, there's also a study by ENO, which is a think tank organization that did a phenomenal study on what it costs to build in America versus to build abroad. And part of what our challenge is regulation. It is fear of risk that's driving some of the costs, and then the failure to innovate. So I encourage you to kind of look at that one too,
Yeah, I
because that's
definitely will.
just another data point for consideration. I'm going to stop, but before I stop, I have
Wait,
to leave you with
wait,
this.
I feel like this is super important. Is there a reason why we're so... Okay, I didn't know there was another engagement. Okay. I personally take time off of work, and my income is tied to when I work, so I came here today. So I'm feeling a little
but we
rushed right
kind of
now.
have to stick to the schedule because we do have other presenters.
But I didn't know
So-
that there was a time limit, and these are huge projects with probably the most amount of money we're spending, and I feel like we're just not having a very fruitful conversation. I feel like it's kind of being shut down.
All right, so this is what I would suggest. We may need to table this portion. I don't know, whatever the
I-
question is.
I
don't
just
know.
wish I was told beforehand that we're going to have limited time to talk on these projects.
Well, we have an agenda.
But it's not time. It's not stuck to time.
It is. Did you go through the session, the prep sessions that we
Yes.
have?
Yeah, it's an agenda, but it doesn't say how
No,
much
did
time
you
we
go
have.
through the prep session? Okay.
I go through the prep session, and then I meet with my group individually, and we have our own call with 20 people on it. And then we go through it as a group, and we talk about points that we would like to discuss.
All right.
So
go
this is
ahead.
about,
Whatever the question is, let's move it. as
I mean,
quickly
now
as
this
we
is a
can.
more uncomfortable situation for me because now I feel like the pressure's on me. But
Well, the thing is, we have an agenda, so we have to kind of stick to the agenda. We have other presentations that need to be made. So, we've been asking a lot of questions, and if she has another obligation, we don't want to deter that. That's why we have an agenda, and we want to stick to the timeline as much as we can.
I just didn't know there was a time portion tied to the agenda.
Yeah, there is.
But-
We can't be here till midnight.
It's only 10:40.
Well,
I took the
we-
day off
we
of
have an
work. I'm not
agenda.
trying to be here till midnight. My questions aren't going to hold us to midnight.
Okay,
I don't
I'm
think it's
just-
fair. I feel like I'm being silenced, honestly.
No, you're not. You've been allowed to speak as much as you wanted. but-
Not as much as I wanted.
Okay, go ahead and ask the question that you want to ask me.
The question that's important is that I was going to ask about the type, what position we're at with the LRT in the transit mode share. Is it elevated, at grade? Because I see these renderings, it's at grade. And I
So-
wanted to bring this point to the board. There was a project that just finished in Toronto this week, and it was an Instagram post. I shared it with Roy and Gretchen last night. And they just finished this project, and it was $500 million a mile, and it was a streetcar. And it's a lesson that we could take because this project just opened. This streetcar, this light rail system goes 8 miles an hour. There's videos of it in Toronto, brand new, $500 million a mile, sitting in traffic endlessly. So the mode we pick and the vehicle type we pick is going to be hypercritical. It turned into such a big explosion in Toronto that the mayor actually went on Reddit and started taking suggestions of how to improve it. So I would never want to get to that point, and that's why I want to spend a little bit of time now to have these conversations.
Okay. What's your question, Drew?
My question is, when are we going to be seeing a study in terms of the mode, and is it going to be elevated or at grade?
Sure. So I can tell you we're in study now. So we're in the PD&E phase for the first segment, which has independent utility, which is between the airport, seaport, and convention center. That's elevated, and we've already committed to that. As we snake our way through downtown Fort Lauderdale and make our way to the FEC corridor, we're going to have to either go under or over that because you can't be at grade. You can't commingle two different types of light rail and heavy rail. You just can't. Or commuter heavy rail, freight rail. Can't do that. And so then as we go west, the thought is that we would be at grade and then all the way out to Sawgrass Mills would be at grade. And so I know there's been some discussion about should we be elevated, should we be at grade. We can do whatever, but whatever at grade, I mean, it's already $1.3 billion and some change to go 3.5 miles elevated on property that we actually own. When we start going into the roads along Broward Boulevard and et cetera, and if we want to be elevated, which, we're agnostic about which way we go, but we just have to have the funding. And I got to tell you that I am super hopeful that we're successful working with the feds on the Broward Commuter Rail South project, and we get that $300 million. But the reality is we have a financial plan that assumes that 50% of every investment is coming from the feds. The reality of us getting that is not happening. So if, in fact, we want to spend more and go bigger, we can. Absolutely. I am fine with that. It's just that if we do that, Ray, seriously, we just need to understand that how we pay for it, right? Which I know you and I have already talked about.
Which is fair, but the construction cost of the valued engineer segment that FDOT just completed for the 27th Ave potential expansion of Metro Rail is showing similar cost to ours. And that's a county south that's pulling from the same labor and construction and pool.
I'm sorry, Metro Rail?
This is a recent study that was just done for Metro Rail expansion. And the cost per mile is equivalent of our at-grade LRT system. So Miami Metro Rail is hyper successful because it can move a lot of people very fast and it can move them far distances.
I would love for it to
But
be grade separated.
The price is the same cost.
Well, I'd be happy to look at that study. I am not aware of it, Ray. I haven't seen it. And I'd really, truly be more than happy to look at it and have my team look at it and see, is there an opportunity? What are they doing that we might be able to learn from?
I feel like we should be seriously having that conversation. There's a very successful rail system in Miami-Dade. We should almost be working to use the exact same train cars, sets, track gauge, and everything. That's the closest source of knowledge, and it's a well-used system. It has 78,000 riders a day.
So what we want to do is we want to do best practice, and wherever that is in the world is the model that we should be following. Granted that local information is helpful to know, but we've got consultants that, in fact, the consultant that we just hired has worked in Dubai and other major rail investment projects, and we have that talent on our team now. And so the reason we want that talent on our team is so that we can look globally at solutions in addition to Miami. And I'm not saying that Miami, clearly they have some success stories, and it's a good additional data point, but I don't think that that's the only data point we should consider, right?
No, of course, but for cost relevancy, I think it's important that if what it's saying it cost in Miami, no.
They have some costs, Ray. We talked about this previously. So Miami is a fully developed system. So when Javier came and presented to you all my kind of counterpart in Miami, he was explaining the reason that they have differentials in their cost assumptions is because they have a 20-year, well-developed system with a variety of different modes, and that they have all of the sunk costs associated with maintenance, and it's just a different level of assumption.
And they also, thankfully for them, the costs that they're not going to have to worry about likely, and again, I haven't seen the study, so I'm just guessing, Ray, is that they've already built out their maintenance facilities. They already have and when you're talking about sunk costs, they've already made those investments, so their overall cost factors are lower compared to us as a new start, right? Because we're going to have to make all those investments first time. Now, as we build on, right, those costs incrementally will come down because we will have already made those investments. So if I could ask...
Corey,
are we studying it is the question.
So hold on a second here. I want to be respectful of your time. And I think that as board members, we need to be cognizant of that. We need to be respectful of our presenters when they come and they have a specified time to deliver their presentation. We need to be respectful of that. We also need to keep the agenda moving. If there are additional questions that need to be asked that requires an extensive explanation, you can make an appointment to meet with whoever the presenter is and get more information, because one, some of us are at a disadvantage to some of the information because we don't know some of what the questions and that you're raising. We may not be aware, and you're asking questions and forcing them to present on something that they were not prepared to present on. It is not fair. And I want to be respectful to the county. I said this the last meeting, that we know for sure that we were established because the county wanted to hold its own establishment and leadership accountable. So there's no need to keep pushing our administrators to provide information as if they're not doing their jobs. They are the experts in the room, and I want us to be respectful of that. And I want to go ahead and move on. Corey, I know you have another appointment.
Yeah, can I just show you how excited our business partner is? And Ray, you know what I'll do? Can you and I please meet again with Gretchen, and we'll go through some of your concerns?
I'd rather keep the meetings on record.
We can invite you back on February 6th if you're available, Corey.
Also, to be fair, my ideas are these are not relationship-based conflicts that I have. I'm not attacking any administrator. These are ideas and thought conflicts that I'm having.
Right, but don't
and
you
that's
see
okay.
that...
And the language of the ballot was an independent Surtax Oversight Board to represent the taxpayers, not to represent the county.
But some of the questions that you're asking requires some time and due diligence for the presenters to properly respond to you, and you're putting them at an unfair disadvantage. This is not a question that you raised during our prep meetings, and then you're putting them at a disadvantage
It
to
was raised during our prep meetings.
inappropriately, and they may not have all the information to respond. So I'm just saying, ask your question, and if you're able to answer it. But we have to put some time limits on some of these presentations, because all of us cannot be here all day.
If I can just leave you with this thought, this is one of the brand managers for the new hotel, the Omni Hotel, and this is what she says about the Airport Seaport Connector.
Hi, my name is Jody Doyle. I'm sales manager for the brand new Omni in Fort Lauderdale, and the new light rail is going to be a game changer for the community. I've been telling a lot of the travel agents with the cruise lines what's going to happen in 2030, 31, and they're very excited to be able to get their guests from the port to the airport to the hotel very easily.
Thank you.
And that's it. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Corey.
Then are we not going to talk about the COA? The COA is over a year delayed. Like, how are we just ignoring this?
Can we just go ahead and table that conversation?
It's been tabled for a year. There's riders right now that are waiting on it. This was promised to us at the end of last year, December, and I followed up with it at every single level. I had friends that go to county meetings, and now it was supposed to come in December, and it's still not presented. I'm sorry, I don't get how we're just ignoring this.
So the COA is, we are finished the initial phases of it. We are having conversations with the county commissioners as we speak. We've had 4 meetings with them because of sunshine. We have to meet with them one-on-one. Once we have fully briefed the commissioners, we will come and talk to the public as well as the Surtax board.
But I just don't understand the delay. It was supposed to be done December. It was on everyone's homework. It was due last year. Like, what is the delay? Is it the county administrators? Is it the commissioners not having time in their agenda? Are we delaying it because we just want to delay it? Because as these bus improvements are delayed, we can't create the correct bus shelter network to protect our vulnerable riders, because without the COA, we don't know what the routing is going to look like. So we can't even move our bus shelter program. But in the meantime, what I do see is hundreds of millions of dollars we just signed off this year going to public works and roads that really know how to use the money, and they have a well-oiled machine. So I just don't understand why our bus riders aren't getting the same priority, honestly.
I'm not sure.
I'm just going to say this.
Referencing here. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Corey.
I was just going to say that, personally, our riders are the most important people to us, and we want to see them get all the improvements that they deserve. And I just want that to be on the record. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I'm just going to keep, because if we're going to do this last word thing, if our riders are the most important, then prioritizing the COA to finish it and having it published would be a priority. We could ask our riders if we take a survey. When we did this survey for the original COA and when they went on board and surveyed people, everyone said the same exact thing. I would like to see more frequent buses. I would like to have an actual bench to sit on, and I would like shelter. We're pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars a year from this program, and we can't even respond to what our survey takers on our buses took. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
So, Ray, I believe we have had presenters here that have demonstrated that shelters are being directed. I'm not sure what
not because Athena, I understand this maybe at Antia. I understand this maybe at a more technical level because I'm very interested and involved in this stuff. We cannot build our bus shelter network out until this COA is published, because the COA might change the routing. And so when we understand the routing and the recommended bus stop spacing is when we're going to have a more definitive list of where we can build shelters.
Corey, do you want to add to and then that's it.
Okay.
Explain the
what
COA thing, please.
I'm sorry.
COA, explain the whole process, like not the whole process, but just in a Reader's Digest version of.
So the COA is a comprehensive operational analysis. It's a best practice that transit agencies do roughly every 10 years to look at their transit system to see if there's any changes that would be warranted based on new origin and destination, population growth, et cetera, things that would warrant some kind of action to change your network. So that's the COA. And for us, what we've done is we've looked at Broward. We've made certain assumptions that we don't want to leave any transit deserts out there, that we're leveraging both fixed route service, Primo, as well as microtransit to cover Lane County and improve our coverage. We also recognize that our riders are looking for more frequent bus service, better connections, and they are looking for shelter. I will tell you that what's driving our bus shelter investment is not the COA, but more the fact that we are looking at the existing ridership numbers at certain locations and working our way down to provide, we started off at like 24 riders per bus stop, working our way down to get to as many bus stops as we can based on the ridership. And I think we're at 10 riders per bus stop. Our county administrator has made a requirement for us to, which I talked about the last time I was here, to reach out to the communities or the cities and share in the responsibility for the long-term maintenance of these investments. So some of those activities are driving where we're making the investment in terms of bus shelters, because the county that's the preference in that cost sharing model for the maintenance of the bus shelters. But I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to come here today to talk to you all, and I hope you all have a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Maribel, I know you have some exciting updates for us.
Yes, we do. Good morning, everyone. Maribel Feliciano, Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development. First, I would like to start highlighting how we're working together with the previous department you just heard from. We work closely with Corey and her team to make sure we're part of the outreach. That industry day, we're there to make sure that the business community is aware of the projects that are coming up, and our small businesses, our certified small businesses, are also aware of those opportunities. At the airport, we recently have the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport Industry Day at the Convention Center. In addition to that, we participate on those projects as well to make sure our small businesses are aware of the opportunities, and the Convention Center as well. The next event I wanted to highlight is on November 5th, we had a very successful Surtax Oversight Board Map Opportunities event, where we highlighted the projects that are coming up in FY26, map projects that are coming up from Broward County, and then we partnered with 2 of the municipalities that also have a lot of projects coming up next year to explain to our business community what are the projects that are coming up next year, what are the processes and the procedures you need to follow to successfully bid on those projects. And we had great attendance here. It was here in this room. We had over 80 participants that included both large companies, certified businesses, small companies, and community partners that are very interested in participating in Surtax projects, or that they're already participating and that they want to continue to be part of the program. The 2 cities we work with was Fort Lauderdale and Miramar, and we're going to continue to do these workshops. We have been doing them for the last few years, and we continue to rotate and invite additional cities because we want to collaborate with the cities to tell the story of all the Surtax projects that are coming up that are both funded and as part of Broward County projects, but also as part of municipal projects. You're all familiar with this information. We want to update you on a quarterly basis on how we're doing reviewing surtax projects for both the county and our municipalities. To date, over 117 projects that are county projects we have reviewed, totaling $1 billion, and the average CB goal on those is 29%. And then on the municipal projects, 151 projects reviewed to date, and this is as of the close of FY25, that's September. Again, 33% average on those projects, totaling approximately over $416 million going to our local certified small businesses. And this is all the projects that have been reviewed. Then we go into the projects awarded, and here you can see for county projects, these are the projects that have been awarded. We're talking about 69 projects on the county side, on the municipal side, 56. Here you can see the average goals for the projects that have been awarded. For county, we're at 38% average certified small business goals. On the municipal side, we're averaging 40% CBE goal, and then total average 39%. So we're doing really well, not only assessing those goals, but next you're gonna see how my primes are exceeding these goals. I have a few slides where I'm gonna share with you projects that where the primes are not only meeting the goal that has been established for these projects, but they're exceeding the goal. And sometimes it's twofold. It's not just a few percentages, it's twofold. Here you can see the list, we can get started, and it's a very diverse projects, right? We are constantly doing outreach to try to recruit additional companies to get certified with us on all the different industries that we need small businesses to participate. So we're talking about sidewalk improvements, we're talking about improvements, streets improvements, we're talking about alleyway improvements, drainage. If we go to the next slide, we're talking about bridge repairs. So again, very diverse scopes as part of these Surtax projects where we have CBEs successfully participating and primes successfully using and exceeding the small business participation goal, which we know is a priority for this board as well. The next slide, we have additional projects that have exceeded our goals. And here you can see on the second one, it was 35% goal. They met 100%. That means my small local certified small business was the prime for this project. Wow. So again, that's a celebration for our office. We are constantly celebrating those opportunities where our local certified small businesses work as primes. And we're sharing that on social media. We're sharing that on our newsletters on a weekly basis because we want to tell that story. We are hiring local businesses that are creating local jobs to support our infrastructure projects.
Why do you think that is? Is it because now over time, a lot of these companies have gotten stronger in their business model and now they're able to take on more responsibilities?
It's a combination of factors. I think it's a lot of awareness, right? That this is a dedicated source of funding for the next 25 years, originally 30 years. So we have a lot of companies that are now, we have been very, very successful recruiting more companies that have transportation and infrastructure related skills. In addition to that, some projects have the right size for my small businesses to serve as primes as well, right? So, because we have projects that are smaller, mid-sized projects, but we also have multi-million-dollar projects like the ones Corey spoke about. So I think also the fact that the small businesses are also able to serve as primes on those projects that are just the perfect size for them to serve as primes. And some of them are also able to join ventures with other CBEs so they can work together. And that's what happened on the bypass project as well, that the prime for the design part was a CBE, and then the subcontractors were also CBEs.
So on the paratransit bid that's coming up, are we lowering the percentage from 30 to 10%, or is the plan to maintain the 30%?
Which project are we talking about?
Paratransit that Corey just spoke about.
I will have to go and see what the goal is for that project, and I'll definitely come back to the board and let you know.
Yeah, I'm just curious. But it's great, all great news. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and again, paratransit, the way we assign the goals is we look at our directory to look how many certified small businesses we have on that specific scope to be able to assign the goal based on the availability of CVEs in my directory. So whenever the goals are under 30% or under 25%, I work with our outreach team to start doing targeted recruitment to recruit additional CVEs under those scopes, because I know that I need additional to be able to meet at least my 30%.
Okay. And based on their capacity, I imagine. The companies need to have the capacity to be able to deliver on the projects.
And then again, as part of the procurement process, then is when you look at experience, capacity, performance on previous projects, and all of those things.
Okay. Good news.
And this is just a few of the projects. When I to share with you some of the photos. This is the highlight for the College Avenue Phase 2 project. The commitment was 40% and the attainment was 54%. And this was, you can see the different scopes for the CVEs as compared to the primes. Next, it was the Coral Springs, City of Coral Springs project. And this was alleyway improvements. The prime and CVEs was self-performing, and this was 61% CVE attainment. And the next one we want to share with you is this roadway drainage system repairs, where also primes and CVEs were part of the project, 85% commitment, 89% attainment. And the economic impact analysis is also really important for us because we want to show you how are we doing on these projections where we are using our implement model to basically tell you what is the economic impact of these projects that have been reviewed to date. So in this case, you can see direct impact based on the 125 awarded projects, and this is only awarded projects. We're talking about $643.5 million to be paid to awarded vendors. Jobs created, over 3,000 jobs created here in the county, and that's direct jobs. $258 million paid to wages for employees for these awarded projects. $271 million spent by awarded vendor on materials, services, equipment, etc. And then on the indirect and induced impacts, we're talking about $336 million generated due to all other expanding and materials and providers, and then an additional 1,700 jobs created. So if you look at the total impact of these awarded projects, we're talking about $980 million total, over 5,000 jobs. And this is what our commitment is all about. This is where your commitment and your direction is all about, using our local small businesses, being intentional as we're reviewing all these projects, continuing to do outreach to make sure that our business community understand what the opportunities are, not just now, but for the next 25 years to be successful, supporting our local economy, creating our local jobs.
Awesome.
And next is the economic impact definitions we've shared with you on our previous meetings, and that's basically, again, the direct impacts is I won the contract, I pay my employees, and I pay the businesses, supplies, etc. The indirect impact is basically my employees and the businesses are paid supplies, and then they pay their subcontractors, etc. And then the induced impact is all the money that is circulating within our local economy. So also the added benefits, added value as part of the work that we're doing. And now I can take any questions.
That's exciting stuff. I really am excited about just hearing how much we're spending with our small businesses, and then the jobs that are being created from that. Board members, anyone? Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I especially appreciate that we keep the dollars local when we're investing like this, rather than it being used by much larger contractors that are non-local that then ship the money somewhere else. So it helps. The induced impact is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Very good. Thank you so much. All right. I think next we have Public Works. I think. Is it Public Works? Office of, pardon me? Yes.
So good morning, and thank you for having me here. My name is Sismi Ayala. I was basically invited to say hi and introduce myself, nothing else. So this might be the shortest presentation you get today, which is good. Being a little bit more serious, I joined Broward County about 4 months ago. I am an assistant county administrator working with Administrator Sapero. I am really happy to be here. To give you a little bit of my background, I just came from Palm Beach County after serving 6 years with them. I've been dealing in what I'm going to call capital improvements and public works for the vast majority of my career. Before being with Palm Beach County, I was with Montgomery County in Maryland, and then I made it to Florida, and here I am. My current portfolio includes, I'm going to say, all things capital works related, right? So I get the pleasure of working with Lenny Villalpando, who is the Director of Public Works and Environmental Services, and that department includes everything related to construction, to highways, to capital improvements, to water utilities, environmental permitting, and all those exciting departments, as you can imagine, every time we talk about built environment. So with that said, it is my pleasure to be here. I look forward working with you all and interacting with you all. And I heard you loud and clear when you said that you would like county administration to come back and provide that broader overview of how the projects come together. So I made a note, and I will certainly take it back to the county administrator. With that said, it has been a pleasure.
Very good. Very nice to meet you. Very nice.
Hello, Surtax Oversight Board. I'm Leonard Villalpando. I'm the Director of Public Works and Environmental Services. It's been a long time since I've presented to you. I'm kind of presenting to you in one of my other titles that's not up there is Chief Innovation Officer for Broward County. And if you recall, when I started speaking with you in the beginning of the Surtax, it was about data and innovative technologies and finding ways to get information to people so that they can hopefully make better decisions about how they choose to get around the county. And I'm happy to say we're in the middle of a pilot for a project that you funded that I'm very excited about. And it really kind of came about because of that very, very serious flood that we had in April of 2023, I believe it was. And the estimates were that up to 5,000 vehicles were lost as a result of that. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of calls, people saying, gosh, one of the chairs of one of the political parties called me and said, I lost my Mini Cooper, and the road I started going down it and I was stuck. And our own Chief Resilience Officer for Broward County lost her minivan. Thousands of people found themselves stranded in the middle of traffic and couldn't turn around, they couldn't get anywhere, and the water took their vehicle from them. And so we started looking at, well, how could we help people get access to information that might prevent that from happening in the future, other than doing what I did, which is buy the most jacked up pickup truck I could so that hopefully I could still get around, as well as try to memorize the roads that I had driven down that were full of water, but I still found myself driving down Broward Boulevard in 3+ feet of water, and actually had to get my truck repaired after that. But nevertheless, hopefully this is the beginning of preventing those kinds of things in the future, or at least minimizing them significantly. And we call it the Rapid Alert and Information Network. And essentially, it's modeled after things that you might see in Broward County, which is in Texas. They essentially have a lot of floodways, which we're not familiar with here. We have a lot of flood plains. And in general, in a flood plain, the water rises fairly slowly and evenly. And so that's why until these really, really large events happened, we hadn't noticed these sort of very rapid incidences of just flooding occurring very quickly and giving you no time to respond. They're in fact very familiar with that out west, because in what's called a floodway, you essentially have a low-lying area that's dry. It's like a dry creek bed. And when it rains very heavily, water comes from all over, and that thing turns back into a river, and the road goes through it, and you go from 1 minute being a dry road, and the next minute it's under 12 feet of water, and they're used to that kind of thing. And so they already had some pretty good technologies, and they provide this type of service to the public where they show you the sensors, and right now they would be green, which means there's no flooding in those areas, but the public has access to that information. They can put out public alerts, give it to first responders, give it to the mass transit facilities, give it to, Waze and, Google Earth and Google Maps and all those, so that we can hopefully get it to you as well. But essentially they would change color when there's a lot of flooding. And so you kind of use the, the traffic signal methodology here, where you basically are saying, if it's red, that's not a good idea. You probably want to stay away from that road. And so essentially, we would be able to get that data to you by installing a pole and putting on that pole a camera, but it's not a full-time camera. It doesn't record anything. It's literally only there for validation purposes, and you physically have to turn it on. Doesn't record. You see it for a moment. Yep, it's actually flooding. The sensor's not lying to me. I see that there's flooding on the road. It has a rain gauge, like essentially a tipping bucket that would measure the amount of rain, how quickly it's falling. And then there's telemetry, there's soil moisture sensors, and there's a pressure transducer, which would measure the depth of flooding at that intersection. And so we would be able to provide that information to our system that we would then share with the public so that they can see which roads might be flooded. And then eventually we want to pair it with AI so that you could maybe, before you leave work for the day, if you know it's raining, say, hey, are any of the roads flooded on my way to my daycare or to my, home or my work in the morning or what have you. And the way we do that is by installing these pressure transducers in the existing drainage infrastructure at intersections that are identified as being flood prone or a problem, places where we've identified this in the past. And this is essentially what it looks like. That's a completed installation that we currently have running. And one of the ways I remember from the very beginning that you guys definitely want to leverage Surtax revenues. We don't want to just pay for this ourselves if we can get other people to pitch in and cooperate. And so we actually are in the process of doing interlocal agreements with the cities listed on this map, the large coastal cities, which are the ones that, sort of are the, experience it most frequently. And as part of our interlocal agreements, what's going to happen is those partner cities would be provided the equipment by us, and then they would pay for the installation and put it in the right of way. And so they would pick up that cost, as well as I believe it's $1,000 a year that they would send us for maintenance. Because obviously once we do this, it's not just one and done, because these equipment, these sensors might need to be updated, upgraded, maintained. There's going to be a number of instances where we might have to, over time, cycle out the technology, go and clean them out and make sure that they're still functioning well. And so essentially we're in that phase right now, and we're going to begin giving the poles to the cities and having them install them, bringing the ILAs, back to the board so that they can approve everything. And then really it's infinitely scalable, right? And a lot of people ask me, like, well, how big is the network? The network is basically as big as we need it to be, right? So initially it's in the most critical areas, and as time progresses, it could move and expand into thousands of sensors, just depending on funding availability, on need, essentially. And ultimately, we would take all of this information, like we had the National Weather Service reach out to us and say, hey, we would love to get this data to use it for forecasting and for, some of the bulletins we put out about, what's happening during a, hurricane or something like that. And we can use that and combine it with all of those pieces of information. And as the sensors are there and they start to learn, when it rains this much for this long and the water rises this quickly and this, spatially and, this high, then we would start to train AI to hopefully be able to predict in the future. So rather than tell you, hey, don't go that way, it's flooded, in which case it might be too late for you, we'd like to start giving you a warning that in the past, when it's rained this much this quickly, or it's predicted to rain this much this quickly, we have seen these types of water elevations. And so we would give you sort of like a, an advisory saying you may not want to go this way, because if everything holds true, we predict that there will be flooding on these streets and you might want to find an alternate route. And so that will be built out through these various AI integrations that we would be putting in place. I don't know if this video is going to play, but yeah, so it kind of basically shows you a little bit about how the software would work and basically forecast the changes in flood elevation and predict where we think the sensors would go underwater. And you can see there the red is where those sensors predicted that they would be underwater, and then you can see how that would work. And then of course it goes back to normal. And this is just more of the same, just to kind of show you, what happened during Helene and how some of these areas became inundated that were, obviously dry in the existing. And so we would be able to predict, not only road flooding, but, structure flooding, flood impact depths, that kind of stuff, which is why National Weather Service wants access to the information. So the more robust our network and the more sensors we have, it can start to help people, make better decisions about how to get where they need to go, whether or not, they want to ride their bicycle that day, or, what sort of mass transit might be a better option. And so ultimately, the system would have a dashboard at some point. You'd have all this extra information, and it'll get as big as I guess we can afford to make it. So, yes.
And that was one of the questions. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
and that's what I was kind of alluding to, which is that. So we are coming up with several budget proposals for you for the next year, for the next phase, but it essentially doesn't have like a fixed size, because ultimately we would ask you for a certain amount of money that would be our ideal sort of growth pattern. If that money wasn't available, we would do less sensors. If there was more money available, we could do more sensors. Essentially, some of our partners, some of the cities, have decided they need more sensors than we're able to provide, so they're going to be actually putting in some of their own sensors just of their own volition, and they've agreed that even if we don't provide them the material, they would share the data with us and potentially even let us manage the data, so that we don't end up with a bunch of disjointed technologies that don't communicate with one another, which is unfortunately how a lot of these things tend to happen. So we're trying to make sure that we can manage it. And then I don't know if you know off the top of your head roughly what we're going to be asking for next year. Have you gotten that far yet?
For just the equipment programming, probably 600 to 750,000, and then going for 3 positions, which would be additional cost.
Right. We would ultimately at some point need enough people that could go around on a regular basis and make sure the sensors are repaired and maintained, and as well as managing the software that you just saw. We would procure software, and then of course we'd have to maintain it and make it available, and provide that information to, for example, Google Maps and other entities. And so the staffing would be related to technology, mapping, and ultimately maintenance in the field.
The expectation is that will be primarily Surtax funding, correct?
That would be the expectation, yeah, that we would provide that backbone to the system as a service for everyone who's trying to get around Broward County as part of MAP, which is kind of one of the things, again, it brings it full circle to me, that when we talked about the Surtax in the beginning, it had a lot of different pieces, but one of them was trying to leverage technology and bring, sort of the future to people, and them being able to experience, getting around Broward County, in sort of like the way that they, use the internet versus the very sort of manual way that it currently is. So, all right. You have any questions? That's it for me.
Yeah, I've got a couple, Lenny.
Sure, Doug.
If you can answer them.
Yes.
This is initially as a test, right?
So right now, we, on our initial funding, got enough money to partner with those 4 cities and provide a sort of a seed, right? A test of validating the technology. Yes.
What is the cost of this test, number one?
So
number two,
yes.
If it's successful, what's the cost to implement the program? And number three, how much Surtax money are you looking for? Because I'm having a disconnect between this information and using Surtax dollars.
Right. So the reason why this information is Surtax related is that we're under the Surtax trying to help people get around Broward, right? They're basically trying to get to their jobs or to their schools or to pick up their children, and they're trying to get there quicker, right? And be able to not be stuck in traffic. And hopefully if we avoid, like, I don't know if you remember that big storm, but essentially there was gridlock. And many people became stranded in their cars and spent the night in their cars. And if you had a system like this, you could potentially prevent that, because they would know in advance that that road is flooded and choose a different way to go and not.
That's a whole other bailiwick.
But that's exactly what the system is intended to.
That's answers
prevent.
3. Let's
I'm
go
sorry?
back to 1. That answers my third question. Let's go to 1 and 2.
Yes. Yeah, and so the first answer is we'd be looking for about $600,000 next year for the next phase, And then I believe the first phase that we did was about 400, was it 500? Yeah. So it's about 500,000 that, in the beginning, which was to do the pilot to buy the poles.
And what percentage
and the
of that
sensors.
are we hoping to get out from Surtax? All of it?
So that's all Surtax funded at the moment, but in the next year's budget, when we get 600, which would buy the equipment, if the cities pay for labor and installation, then we would be able to do more sensors, and then I could compute for you how many the cities install.
I'm just curious. Am I the only one that's having a little heartburn over this thing?
Probably.
Probably. I'm just kidding. Because I'm going to ask during the end of this, I've got a question for information, and maybe answers to that will help me understand this, because I don't know what category to put this under.
Connectivity.
Right,
It's
it's
all
under
for the mobility.
It's just like signalization, honestly. It's connectivity and signalization. It's essentially when you're installing fiber and upgrading signals so that they're interconnected, you're essentially helping people save minutes as they go down the road.
Right. I might never see this one.
Yeah, and if you have this flood sensor network, and we can give people information in real time, or even better, predict what the flooding is, then you will hopefully avoid the huge pileups that you might have in flooded intersections. I mean, I think one of the presentations that I was watching earlier this morning at the Water Advisory Board was Hollywood, for example. They regularly have just sunny weather.
Well, I understand this is much better information, but if anyone took an inventory of the 1,000-year flood, you have where all the problems are now. We know what flooded.
Most people don't know that. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm a stormwater engineer by trade. I've been working for Broward County for 27 years. I can't tell you off the top of my head, even on my own commute. Oops, I forget not to go down that road when it's raining very, very badly.
I've taken enough of your time on that one.
Yeah, but I'll just let you know, it's to give them that information in real time so that they can make that decision. That's
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful. It's also safety. Just the drive from downtown Andrews and Broward to, say, Commercial Boulevard in Bayview, which is near where I live. It was, I was in a pickup truck, so I had no problem. And I was creating wakes onto cars that were completely submerged with people either standing on the side of the road or in the car.
That's right.
And I must have seen 10 severe flooding areas in that drive, which is a short drive. So I think it's a great thing. I think it's safety, more so than probably mobility, because at that moment in time, you probably need to stay at the office and wait for it to end. It also, the private properties that are being redeveloped or new developments have what's called deep injection wells, and those eventually flooded because the wells couldn't hold the capacity, but then they also quickly went down once the rain event stopped. And I think the next step for the county and the Downtown Development Authority and the city are working on a pilot project. I think the next step after you figure out how to help manage people in these events is creating deep injection wells in problem areas at intersections, maybe on 4 points, that can quickly reduce the water and the rate in which it floods. I think that may be the next step, but I think this is a good program, one board member, and I think that it answers a lot of questions, safety and mobility.
Right, and to your point, when you do install those retrofits, right, if Fort Lauderdale were to upgrade the stormwater management system to reduce the flooding at the intersection, the sensors would show that it actually did make a difference, and the AI would be able to predict those changes. And then, to your point, yes, we should stay at home. I'll just tell you personally, from my perspective, one of the other reasons why we thought about the need for this is Broward Boulevard is just so prone to get very, very, very flooded. And a lot of times it happens, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And if we could start to predict that and have these sensors in place, people maybe could let their employees go early.
Yes.
and that way they don't get stranded at work. I mean, I'll tell you, during that flooding event, the employees that I have at Animal Care, which there's about 80 employees that work out of that building, the road in front of them flooded and they couldn't leave.
Right.
And we literally had to use high clearance vehicles to pull them out one at a time throughout the entire night that night. Otherwise, they would have had to sleep there and they wouldn't have been able to go home to their families. So those kinds of things are, mobility related, and they're happening more and more frequently, unfortunately.
Right. For extended period. It's not like, our hurricane season to begin with is very extensive.
Yes.
But then you're having these incidents that were outside of the general hurricane season.
Right.
So.
And in my role as, sort of in charge of environmental permitting, and I'm a stormwater engineer, and I'll just tell you, Doug, the areas that you're going to continue to experience in this are going to grow, and they're going to surprise you because they are getting more frequent and more intense. And, with sea level rise and other, changes, we're starting to see new areas crop up, and that's why we're raising the seawalls and things like that as well.
My issue isn't that it wouldn't be helpful. My issue is return on investment.
Well, it's a relatively modest. I mean, if you think about 5,000 vehicles,
we have a lot of things to spend the money on, and I'm just not convinced that this is the right thing to be spending surtax. Certainly not 100%.
I understand where you're coming from, but I would argue if it's just a few $100,000 and it saves even 100 cars or 1,000 cars, or in the case of that flood, 5,000 cars, that's a huge economic impact. And you've got a lot of people that you have to remember in Broward County, they probably don't even have comprehensive insurance or collision, and their car is their lifeline. And if they lose their vehicle, they can't go to work.
Well, it's the safety thing again. Going back to the safety, people just being on the road. They may not have to be in a car. They could just be walking.
Well, and that's equally bad. I mean, people were swimming, they were, but and it is a commission priority as well.
Well, my issue isn't that the information that you're gathering may have great value, but if the information doesn't get to the person and they don't stay home, it doesn't matter how good your system is. That's where
That's where the technology comes in, right? Because we're going to have a good way of dispersing that information to the cell phone providers, the 911 services, the text messaging services, the cities, Google Maps, Waze, yes, all of the above. Agreed with you 100%. And that's why part of our budget is for staff and for technology. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Good. Very, very good. Good information. That's a new strategy. All right. Next on the agenda, we have the 2026 formula-based funding updates. Gretchen, I think you're up.
I'll go through this very quickly, Madam Chair. Just because this has been an area that you all have asked for information in the past, we wanted to provide you with some updates about how the implementation of the Third Amendment is going. We've received 21 applications from, and just for your edification, each application represents a single municipality, so a municipality no longer has to submit multiple applications. So 21 applications means 21 of our 30 participating municipalities have provided us with input about how they would like to use their formula-based dollars. There was $30 million that was made available, and as you can see in the pie, the 21 municipalities that have responded so far are asking for the vast majority of that funding in the category of rehabilitation and maintenance. They have, a few of them have asked if they can defer all or a portion of their formula allocation. And then we have, it looks like 6 microtransit programs so far that have been requested for a total of $3 million. This next slide just gives you a sense of the breadth of the variety of different rehabilitation and maintenance projects that have been requested. And we are in the process right now internally of reviewing all of these projects for eligibility and potential conflicts, and about to be in a position, I would say early in the new year, to be able to get some of these projects under an agreement. So thank you so much to Nithia's team for their hard work on getting the new Surtax funding agreement forms to the point that they are now. All right.
Okay.
And with that, I will move to a very brief overview of our internal dashboards. This is something that you all asked for at the very beginning of the Surtax program. And one of the things that we've looked at in 2019, in 2020, in 21, in 22 were how are we tracking what the Oversight Board is seeing, the actions that they're taking? How are we tracking programmatically the amount of and the type of projects that the Oversight Board is reviewing and approving each year? How are we tracking what the County Commission is putting in their adopted budget? So when we met for your retreat in 2022, one of the things I heard very, very loud and clear at that time was you wanted more financial data. So after that, we came back and internally tried to find ways of collecting information using our existing financial system and pulling that information out using Power Business Intelligence tools. It was very tedious. Very, very challenging. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to my team that has basically rebuilt the entire system using a different tool, different databases. We continue to work very closely with our partners in the Office of Management and Budget and Accounting to create resources for you to do your oversight role. And so there are a couple of different things that you're looking at here. We have a public dashboard. You've looked at the public dashboard many times. It's our most popular feature on our website by a long shot. And so what you're looking at here is project related, and it's very programmatic. So it shows you all of the projects that have come before you at a very high level. So it's rolled up in a higher level category, not at the project by project basis. But what's beautiful about this tool is that you can drill down. If you really wanted to get granular, you could. And it shows you the various categories from transit to public works to municipalities to the airport. And then it's summarizing what's available on the public dashboard. Now, the public dashboard is at a budget level. And I know for most people that are looking at our public dashboard, it's a point in time, it's a planning document, and it's based on what the expected costs are going to be. And we all agreed that that was fine. But for the purposes of your role, you also need to know actuals and the reality of expenditures. So we have a variety of other charts that show you the revenues that were expected, the revenues that we actually received, and then audited revenues for each year. And you see the trend line along the bottom that shows you, especially during the pandemic, that there was definitely some variance there between what we were expecting and what we received. But as a result of some of the legislation that went into effect July 1st of this year, it was last year, we're already starting to see some reductions in our projected revenue. Then with respect to actually projects themselves, if you could go to that tab for me, guys. Leverage report. One of the things that you've been asking for from the very outset is how are those local dedicated revenues bringing down non-Surtax funding? How are we accessing other people's money? So this gives you a sense of how much Surtax funding has been invested in. And I just want to be very clear, this is a universe of projects that actually have other people's money associated with them. So it's not the full compendium, it's not the whole portfolio of the Surtax. So it's under $1 billion there, as you can see on the top left. That's because this is only Surtax projects that have other people's money in them. This is real money. This is not expected money or assumed money. So there's leverage that is expected in some of these projects that hasn't been received yet. We've got a lot of outstanding grants, as you heard from Corey. I don't want to spend too much time on this, and we can certainly look at it again at a future date. This is municipal projects. This gives you a sense of the amount of leverage that we have in the municipal surtax program, and it's a lot. I know these are very hard to see. These charts are small. We're working on making this more accessible for you all. But this is yours. This was created for you. This is what we use, these types of dashboards for internal use only. These are not published externally. There's some unaudited financial data associated with these, but we wanted you to at least give us some feedback about, is this meeting your needs? Is this kind of what you were looking for? Is this the type of data that you're interested in seeing? And if you have specific questions, Neil and Mai are sitting over there kind of navigating for me while I'm talking, and they can take you to specific areas that you might be interested in.
Gretchen, I have a question.
Sure.
I can't, first time seeing it, really can't even read it. It's that small. But I had broken down surtax into 7 categories: roads, new and maintained, drainage, signalization, sidewalks or trails, bridges, buses, cost, and rail. Not by count, not by city or by project, by dollars. I was curious as to what percentage of the funds are being spent on whether it's 7 or 8 or 9, these areas, and could you use this program to gather that data?
Yes.
Because
yes,
that was going to be my question was, and it doesn't, and you might break it down between city and county projects or municipal. I don't really care, but we were starting our 7th year, and we should have 6 years of data.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would be great if you could say, here's what we spent to date, here's what we're projected. I don't know if you can do that, but it would be nice to see it by percentage, because I'm curious. I mean, rail's going to probably be some big numbers, but we haven't spent much on it now. And getting back to your concerns about buses, the cost to build them, the cost to maintain them, the driver, what are we spending on bus transit? What are we spending on bridges? What are we spending on sidewalks, signalization, and maybe we put the rain thing in there, okay? But drainage and roads, new and maintenance. To me, that's simple. If this is working like I think it can, that would be great information to have, just by percentages.
This, I can see that they're working on it right now, but yes.
That would be good information, I would think.
We don't have it by percentage right now. We have it by dollar value, but we can absolutely make that happen and show it to you at the next meeting, for sure.
It'd be great. Thank you.
Or we could teach you how to do percentages.
But I think at the end of it, though, it's not just about how much is being spent per project. It's how it's enhancing our goals and objectives in terms of mobility and creating connectivity and so on and so forth. So I think it's balancing our deliverables to the community at the end. Because some things are going to cost more, but it doesn't mean it's not adding value to the quality of life of people. So and of course, there's a chart in here that shows how we're spending money by cities, which is really important to me, because I want to make sure that there's balance in terms of where our dollars are being spent, because some communities have higher needs than others, and I want to make sure that we're not spending in some of the wealthier communities that have the ability to take care of their own infrastructure on some level, where the other communities that are not as wealthy, that there is some balance in terms of our investment. And so this chart is pretty good.
Yeah, I want to point something out about that chart. That's the money spent in the cities. Is that the county money spent in the cities, or just the city's money spent in the cities?
No, it shows the non-surtax and surtax.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
municipal.
A lot of money is being spent in Fort Lauderdale, but not a lot of.
So this is municipal surtax projects only.
City, municipal.
Only city.
So it doesn't have the surtax county projects in the cities.
No, sir.
I think if you're going to show that chart, you got to make another one for the others, because to me, the city of Fort Lauderdale seems to get the least amount of money, when in reality they're getting more surtax dollars because they're getting county surtax dollars.
That's
how are these category codes on a project, I guess you would give each one a category code. Are you then going in and breaking it down?
So that's one of the reasons why we're showing this to you, because we really want your feedback. This is yours, and so it has to work for you. But the way that we build this is based on how it comes to you. So during the budget process, projects come to you at the project level, and then they roll up into categories. So if you go back and you look at the workshops for each budget cycle, you'll notice that our agencies categorize their projects. For instance, adaptive signal control is a project category. Drainage is a project category. Intersection improvements, transit infrastructure, transit capital, transit operations, bus stop and shelter improvements, vehicles. So those categories are actually created and identified by the stakeholders in the Surtax program. And so when they come to you, they're in a category that also corresponds to the way they take it to the county commission, which is important because when we do these types of dashboards, we have to identify the source of the data and be able to take you there and show you the source data. And so the categories have to correspond to your presentations and to the budget book. That's the way that we do it right now. But if there's other types of information that you want, we can add it. There just has to be a data source. It can't just be me coming up with it subjectively.
So these are the categories we have now? So like road improvements, would sidewalks have its own thing? Or would sidewalks spending be inside road improvements or safety improvements?
So these are categories that are on our public dashboard. That is not the same. So these are categories that made sense to people. So prior to you joining the Oversight Board, we did a very robust public survey, focus groups, charrettes in a variety of different languages. And the feedback that we got from people on our public dashboard was that the categories weren't very meaningful to the average person. So the way that we communicate on the public dashboard, Ray, is very different than the way that we communicate to you, the way that the agencies come to the Oversight Board and to the County Commission with their requests. So the categories are not aligned. We had to roll a series of categories up underneath things that made sense to people. So in answer to your question, sidewalks and school safety zones and things like that might all roll up into a road improvement. But it's not to say that we don't still have all of that data on sidewalk improvements, but what you're looking at in this chart is a summary of what's projected to the public on the dashboard. If they go into the types of things like Oversight Board, if you wouldn't mind going into the area for Oversight Board approvals so they can see that, and if you can get into the detail where they can see it at the project level, please, I'd appreciate it. So you can see that when agencies come to you, we're tracking every single approval, every action that you take. And at that level, you can see the exact type of project, its location, its ID number, it's the amount of money, the phase, everything. So these dashboards are intended to provide you with different levels of oversight and different levels of information. I hope that answered your question.
It
maybe
does.
Too much.
It does. Maybe too much. So are we able to see sidewalks?
Absolutely. When Public Works comes to you with a sidewalk project, it actually has a specific ID that starts with an S. If they come to you with a bike lane project, it has a B. And they generally use some type of terminology in the project description that lets you know that this is going to be sidewalks, sidewalk improvements,
Could you guys
lighting.
Would you
all
guys
of it.
be able to show me it?
Absolutely. Can you show them a sidewalk project?
Like how much we're spending in that category?
Okay, so how much we're spending by category is something that I think Doug just asked for as well. And the way that we currently have it structured is not the amount of sidewalk projects, because when Public Works comes to you, they come to you at the project level, but then it rolls up into these bigger categories. So we'll have to play around with it to tell you exactly how much we've spent on sidewalks or bike lanes
That's what I was kind of thinking, that each project would have to be broken down and reallocated.
Yeah.
Seems
Hi.
like a lot of work, but.
Hi, this is Neil, the mobility supervisor. I work under Gretchen. Yeah, so we can categorize it, break it down by sidewalks and the various categories, but we don't have that to show today. But we can do that in-depth analysis, and we can provide you the results of that.
But you'll have to parse through the historic data, right? And then
Yeah, we have to really parse
And
through
is that
it,
a
'cause-
manual process?
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah, because depending on how the project's description, we have to look at the scope of work. It's, sometimes in the title it may say intersection improvement, but within intersection improvement you may have a sidewalk, you may have a bike lane, you may have different other features. So we really have to
That makes
get into the
sense.
weeds.
So then going forward, to make your life easier,
Mhm.
when these projects are getting submitted, could we ask the submitters to divide the allocation so that the data you're working with from the get-go is good?
That would help. This was something that, again, before you got here, we talked about, and there's two different things that happen in public works. When they come to you, what they believe that the cost is going to be and what they believe the scope is going to be. And if there's a multi-scope, there are, various elements. They do try to decide which one is the most prominent element. But when they complete the project, it's a little bit easier for them to try to tell us. What my team is capable of doing is utilizing the data that's provided to us and trying to categorize projects based on their value. And we can do that, and we can bring it to you at a planning level. And then once a project is completed, we can do a little bit more analysis with the help of our partners in Public Works and the cities.
So there is a plan to ask the cities. Will it have to go through a whole local interagreement?
No,
We could
not
just
at all.
ask them when you submit to
No.
break it down.
We do have it. It's just a matter of us adding it to this. And
Oh, so
what
you
I'm
have the
saying
data.
is that we have it at the front end, and then we also have to look at it again at the back end, because sometimes as a project moves through its phases and through
Makes sense.
construction, it'll change its scope.
Yeah, I'm just asking overall so we could see it. So when do you think we could see something like that? I know it's a
Let me
lot of
talk to
data.
them and see if we can, how much we can do by February 6th.
It doesn't even have to be that soon. I just imagine this is important. I know it's a lot of data, but
Yeah, I think what we would really like to do is during one of your workshops, spend more time with this, maybe let you all use some of our some laptops so that you can play around with it a little bit, because I do think it's valuable to us to hear your feedback. Again, if it's a tool that's been built for you, not having your feedback is not very helpful to us. So we'll continue to bring it to you on a regular basis and until we get it to a point where everybody is satisfied with it.
All right. Thank you, Gretchen. I know this was a response to Ray's request for us to have.
Well, this what I wanted to do is at least show you all what we have now from a programmatic and financial standpoint, so that you can have that context when you discuss the performance metrics. So you all can move back to the presentation now, please.
You're good? All right, so we wanted to go ahead and have a little bit of a discussion regarding metrics and data tracking measures, because that was one of your proposal, Ray, from the last meeting. So I want to open the floor to our members to see what else are we hoping to see in these. What are the metrics? What else are you hoping for us to start tracking? What else would you like to see us include in these dashboards?
This is from the list I submitted last meeting. Because this is a transportation surtax, I believe the buck doesn't stop with us. I think the buck stops with someone else. but I think we're an important source to shine light and add clarity to different metric categories. So when I present these metric categories that I want to talk about, that doesn't mean we're solely responsible for them, but it shows a picture of the directors and managers as they submit their budgets and pursue their projects, what's moving the needle and what's not moving the needle. So, and that's why I think these metrics are important. The first one I would like to see consistently reported on is pedestrian fatalities.
Is this a list of what the list he has?
Yes. We just tried to put it into a format so that you all could take notes. We took the information that was provided by Mr. McElroy, and then we just put it into a spreadsheet for you.
Okay.
We by Roy. Thank you, Roy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, ultimately, these are all the metrics that I would like to see. These are going to be really important metrics. When this program is asked by the public what they did and what it accomplished, this is our go-to. This is who we are. This is what we did. And we're either going to succeed at the end of it or we're not. And I think these are fair metrics. If anyone thinks any of these metrics shouldn't be tracked, I'd be open to discussion or more metrics. I mean, there's a lot of metrics in here. But
well, some of it seemed repetitive. I'm not sure. The bicycle fatalities listed like 4 or 5 times.
Where's that?
no, so the first 4 are different types of bike lanes. So this is showing the public that we're building quality bike lanes and not just using like the painted, just the paint on the roads, which would be deemed a lesser quality investment.
But they're somewhat related, kind of bicycle fatalities related. That's the overarching safety piece that you're seeking. And then there are several on sidewalk, pedestrian fatalities and other traffic.
Yeah, traffic fatalities is important. Maybe our highway and engineering department is not looking at traffic circles adequately enough. If we consistently see year over year traffic fatalities not decreasing, it probably would be a good question and a good metric to say why, and say, hey, let's try to put some of this MAP money to decreasing these traffic fatalities.
Sidewalk install, replace, kind of in the same category.
Yeah, so I separated them because these also get very granular. Installed would be new feet of missing segments, and then you, of course, have replacement of sidewalks. So I would want to make sure that we're not double counting them because we do have a very large missing sidewalk network throughout the county, particularly the more like historic cities east of 95.
Did you make this?
I made the list. Roy actually put it together in this amazing format.
It's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, this is amazing. Like I think if we do this, you guys would never have to hear another question from me again.
So just looking at the first page, okay? I think that it's important to understand, for instance, traffic fatalities. I think the location of those fatalities matter more. Like if there's repetitive fatalities at an intersection versus an increase in traffic fatalities that are just coincidental. Like if you have 100 fatalities in one year and then the following year you have 120, but it's just spread all over, it's going to be hard to figure it out. But if you have 10 in the same spot or close by, there could be a reason for that. So those kinds of things. I mean, a bicycle fatality, you should look at where it's happening. That's what I'm saying. But I like separating. The reason I like that he separated the bicycle miles installed is because some of them are their own trail, and then others are shared with the street. And I tend to agree that the ones that you're sharing with other vehicles on the street they're not safe in some cases. Depends on the street. It's good. I like this.
So some of these are just status updates. I just wanted to make clear that there were requests for just kind of periodic status updates, which is not really a metric. It's
Right.
just an update on various aspects of the Surtax program. I also, on
I
behalf of
believe we've seen some data on some of this before.
on behalf of the stakeholders of the program with whom I have communicated about performance metrics over the last 7 years, I'd just like to share with the group again on the record that when it comes to the Surtax program itself, the concerns of the stakeholders has been that Surtax is a funding source. Surtax does not fund highways. It does not fund state roads. Many of the areas, not very many, some adaptive signal controls for sure. But some of these performance metrics that are being proposed are outside of the scope of the program. And, we are happy to measure things over which we have some modicum of control. But we have not traditionally maintained this type of data for the Surtax program. A lot of this data is being maintained by transit and reported to FTA or FDOT. Public Works maintains this data because they have other funding sources, gas tax, FHWA. So if this is something that you all want, we just need to get consensus so that I can communicate with the other agencies that are currently collecting this data for other reasons, and then try to figure out how to make it meaningful with respect to specific Surtax investments, because, high injury networks and, deaths on roads that we have nothing to do with and we have not done any Surtax investment on will have limited benefit to you in our opinion as your support team.
Right.
But
And
we
could you also indicate some, because some of this I know that we've gotten information on in the past. So if we're going to go forward with this, then I would want to note to show what we've gotten information on, because I know we've gotten not all of it, but some of it.
I would say you can parse out the ones that don't apply, but I do think that having it on one sheet or 2 or 3 sheets, and then looking at it basically on a year-over-year or a month-over-month or a quarter-over-quarter, whatever you guys decide. I won't be here to look at it, but I think it's useful because yeah, I'll come to the public part. But like for instance, just even like bus shelters installed. I mean, if you look at last year, we installed 10, and now we've got 25. That's a positive thing, and it's nice to see that you're making progress in that regard. I think you just have to figure out which ones, like you said, maybe don't apply. But other than that, I think the idea of doing it and keeping it on a dashboard of some sort, even if it's just several pages, is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, and maybe categorize it, like if it's the bicycle, riders, then that's in one category. If it's pedestrian, then it's one category. If it's car fatalities, one category, and so on and so forth. So you kind of get a sense, even if there are subcategories to it, but you kind of understand which population of.
And you might find that as you add more, let's just call it bike lanes. If you add more bike lanes, and all of a sudden you're seeing fewer fatalities, there might be a connection there, So it's kind of interesting to look at it. It's really not gonna show its face for several years, but but you do see the progress. You will see, it'll highlight the Surtax progress on installations of things, sidewalks, where and like you said, there's neighborhoods that don't have stuff. Well, this will show that you're putting it in. So I think it's not bad.
And how it's enhancing safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's a legacy product that if we instill and install and do correctly, it'll outlive us in the sense of our time on this board, and it'll continue being a guidance. It's going to take years though for the data to accumulate to see directional changes. But yeah.
Right. Okay.
So
It's good. Good job.
I know there's a good amount of data on here. Some of these wouldn't probably be things, so what would be the next steps to moving this forward?
So with consensus from the board, what I will do is share with BCT and the Public Works Department, who's here. So he's hearing this in real time. Tony Huey is here with us. We have that information for municipal projects in some instances. We'll just start to gather this, again, communicate with our stakeholders about cadence. You know, are we going to do this quarterly? Are we going to do this annually? What's the best way? Did you want to say anything, Tony, regarding any of the aspects of this?
No, I think Tony from Public Works.
Could you turn your mic on for me?
Got it. Is it on right now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. The data certainly is, valuable data. I think that we can be collecting them. I have to say I missed a little bit of the conversation. Couldn't hear too well in the back. But we can certainly gather this information. I think this is information that's going to help in terms of continuing to improve the safety, in our entire service area. I think that the Surtax is actually doing a lot of very good stuff. I think that we have done, in terms of the projects that we have implemented, we've talked about sidewalks, you mentioned sidewalks. We have made a big investments in all of our BSMD areas to install missing sidewalks, and this is in neighborhoods that have needs. And that's one of the things that we've been continuing to do. And I think that this board and also our board can take very good credit for that in terms of doing some of those things to improve safety. And we keep track of it. And certainly my department keeps track of not just improvements in the Surtax projects, but we keep track of improvements that are made by the gas tax projects. I think our emphasis obviously is for the county roads that that we manage, we handle. So we probably right off the top of the bat, we have a very good handle on that information. I think we need to continue working with the cities and so forth, because they also keep their own information. I'm sure they also keep good track of it. It's just a matter of compiling them together and gathering them together in a concise format that you guys can see. And so information is doable. We already do it for other reasons, and then we've been certainly, want to be able to collect it, because I think this board can take, credit for a lot of good things that we're doing as part of this program.
Thanks,
All right, thanks, Tony.
So it sounds like what we'll do is try to bring something back to you once we've had an opportunity to talk internally and just see what data we have and in what formats, and we'll have to clean the data, check the data. So maybe not the next meeting, but the following meeting, we'll try to have something for you. Does that work?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Sounds good. All right. I think next up is our regular agenda. We have one item. Just I'd like to request a motion to approve our last minutes.
Move approval.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this point, which is a fun part of the meeting. Fun, but sad. All right, so we have a special presentation, so.
Oh my goodness.
First year.
Good morning. My name is Alan Hooper. I want to thank Randall and your appointing authority for giving me the honor and opportunity to participate with you guys. It's great. I'm a native from Fort Lauderdale, Broward County. I live on the same street I was born on. Started a construction company, so I'm self-taught, and I became what I would call a redeveloper and uplift the community by redeveloping areas that were blighted. We have just started a journey that had we not passed this penny sales tax, had we waited 10 more years, we'd be 10 more years behind. All the things that we do are going to make our city, our county, so much better. you're killing me, okay? Terrible. All right? Because now you've just taken half my morning, and now I'm sitting around waiting for Doug to get done with his meeting.
come to
But
my
that's
second.
okay. That's okay. And the reason these are getting pulled is because it's either vague or you're putting stuff in the application that doesn't meet the eligibility. The cities should come up with at least the conceptual plan and then come to us for design money. There's 110 projects in this, totaling $72 million. We're going to go through them quickly. I know we're supposed to be talking about surtax, but this whole thing is a 30-year deal, right? And through the CBE, we're trying to benefit small businesses and other folks. Are we going into the high schools and into the schools? I think if we get the message out that there's a bunch of business in drywall or something, maybe it helps inspire people to follow certain vocation. All those things are things that everyday folks kind of deal with, going home, or if there was a hurricane and knocked down the lights, or a jam up on the left turn with only one left turn rather than two. Let's keep the flow of dough getting into the city's hands that have projects that are ready to, one, be drawn up on a plan, which is on the design and planning side, and two, construction. To me, as an oversight board member, I'm almost inclined to vote yes when a city comes forward, because I feel like I'm responsible to what the voter voted for and what they thought they were getting.
This is called the Alan Hooper Award. Join us in honoring the first chair of the Independent Transportation Surtax Board, Mr. Alan Hooper.
I admire you so much as a leader. You are brilliant at doing this job, considering our beginnings and just trying to figure out how to move forward. You did an excellent job. I love the fact that you're so compassionate to the needs of the people in our community, and that you're thoughtful every step of the way. You've been very thoughtful in how you've executed our mission. And more than anything else, I love the fact that you are so extraordinarily courageous.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud to sit on this board with you guys, because you guys are all really committed people. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It goes on the dashboard, right?
But seriously, Alan, I mean, you have been such an extraordinary leader. When we think about the early days of the surtax and just trying to figure it all out, I mean, we were all tough cookies, just making sure that we are delivering on the promises made to our citizens, and you were really a great advocate and helped to really guide the evolution of this board. And I'm personally grateful for you nominating me for vice chair and now chair. And now I'm sitting where you are, so I will still be tapping you occasionally for some guidance.
I'm happy to give it.
Any other board members want to say anything to Alan? I hate that you're leaving.
Alan, I was serious that you saw Miss Kimberly here today. I expect to see you coming in here at least once a year to straighten us out.
So thank you guys. Thank you, Gretchen, and staff. See Karen Walford out there. I sat on the TMA and we worked together. And then, Nathaniel, and then my board colleagues. You guys, we're all so committed to our community. Ray, you're very passionate and committed to everything. And all of us that we've put our time into this, and that we started at the very beginning when it was like, we didn't even know what the hell we were doing, right? And we figured it out. But it was because of you, Gretchen, and because of the people that supported this board. And then we just kind of are like cheerleaders that are trying to help push it along, and we care about our community. It's been an honor, and I'm sorry I'm leaving, but part of it is time and personal reasons, but it's been a pleasure to work with you guys, and the relationships that I've built with so many people has been amazing. So thank you so much.
as board members, we can't generally talk about a whole lot. We don't talk, but now you have to stay in touch with me.
Yeah, now I can talk to you.
Yes, you can talk to
Oh my gosh.
me. You can really talk to me. All right, so the last segment is our non-agenda item. Are there any other members who want to say anything? Nathaniel, Gretchen? No?
First of all, after today's meeting, since you do live on the street that you grew up on, you are now permitted to specifically and formally request to have any potholes or broken sidewalks on that street promptly and efficiently repaired to the extent necessary without there being any ethical conflict.
Holy cow. Too bad it's a city street.
Well, then you should be complaining to the city to be putting in their R&M money for that. That's exactly right. So the purpose of the formula is to fix the potholes in front of your house. And other than that, I just want to thank the entire board for another great year. Wishing everybody very happy holidays. And by the time we come back in February, hopefully we will have had our first hearing at the Board of County Commissioners on your new ordinance and admin code, which is specifically drafted because of all the things that Alan specifically told me he was complaining about. They're all included, every single one of those items, and I'll be able to go through them in great detail at the next meeting, hopefully.
Awesome. Phil, do you have anything?
I would just know what's scheduled for our February meeting.
Give me just 1 second. Okay. So we will have tentatively an update on the Sheridan Street capacity expansion project that you all did receive some public comment on. That's a public works project. The Broward Next land use plan update. I'm hoping that I will be able to provide you with at least some bicycle and pedestrian facility data visualizations. I've heard from you, and I have been talking to my team about various tools that we might be able to use to show you the types of bicycle facilities that we have paid for with the Surtax and completed, and how they connect to other facilities on either end of the project limits so that you can visually see that. We're going to have an update on the low stress multimodal master plan design manual, our typical quarterly OESBD goal attainment. I'm going to be providing you with updates on the state financial reporting that is required for the Surtax that will have been submitted on January 15th. I will have provided you all with that report, but then we'll have an opportunity to discuss it at your February 6th meeting. And any updates with respect to the municipal Surtax program, whether we've gotten projects under an agreement at that point, if we have a Surtax funding agreement done, that's what we have at the moment as far as updates. Is there anything else that you all would like us to add?
It sounds like we've got a pretty busy meeting. I am concerned about the disclosure that we had with the abbreviated report on the mega projects around the airport, seaport. And I'm still not satisfied that there is an organizational structure that allows these things to be proceeding on a parallel basis with just ongoing activity. And I think we need a session just talking about organizationally and how the various consultants, the various departments are in fact facing the accomplishment of the project. So I don't know if that's something that we can put into that February meeting, slide it in or what.
Certainly, Phil, Isame said that she was going to be taking that back to county administration, and if they are able to come, I'm sure that they will be happy to do that. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I would like to see if we can get, I hate to go back to this, but if we can get the COA on the February meeting, hopefully it's passed by then. I would also like to see Tri-Rail be invited in sometime next year. It's very likely that county money is going to have to supplement them at some point, the way the state conversations are happening. And they operate already in our county, and they do a really good job at a very low price. and I would like to know, kind of maybe hear them out, what they would like to see. If they had access to our funding, what they would like. Maybe some capital improvements or something, I don't know.
I will work with the chair on setting that agenda and also talk to BCT and county administration about that, because while we are in the middle of session in February, because it's an early session this year, I'm not sure if it'll be appropriate for us to have that conversation in February, but perhaps after the session has concluded.
I think after would probably make more sense as we get more light with the financing.
Gretchen, can we see one of these for the counties spent by city, and then a combination so we really have a true ranking of where the dollars are spent? I think the sooner the better. So if we can have that by next meeting, it'd be great. Thank you.
Could I ask for clarification on that, Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Would you also want to see spend within the Broward Municipal Services District within the unincorporated area, or only county spend that's inside of a municipality?
So you're saying there's other, so you're saying the unincorporated areas there's being money spent by the county in those. If you want to put that in there, that's fine too. If you have it, I don't want to ask you to do too much.
And I'm just curious about I don't know whether or not this is possible, but on the sheet that you provided, and it's pretty comprehensive, it would be good to see the investments being made by the municipalities on some of these projects. I see where we have the non-surtax expenses and the expenses, but these are expenses, it's not really the investment dollars, the funding. I guess I'm interested in seeing the source of funding from the cities on some of these projects. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you understand? And we do have that information. Okay. Most of the municipal non-surtax investment is city general fund or gas taxes. City. Okay. But in the instances where the city has a state grant or something like that, it's very rare. But we do have that information, and we can provide that to you.
Right. And I also wanted to just say to Doug that because Alan is leaving, doesn't mean you can leave. Just so you know. Alan, anything else? You're done?
No, I'm done.
Ronald, Fraser? No. Huh? Erdal, sorry. Anything, Erdal?
Yeah, I just want to, take this opportunity, wish everybody happy holidays. And it's been an incredible, year, very productive. And it could always be better, but that's what we're here for. And also, I just want to take this opportunity and say how much we appreciated Alan's, leadership and his time and his experience and knowledge, and also being a really nice guy. And look forward to having him be part of, our future meetings, maybe as a special guest. And Alan, we thank you for everything you've done, and look forward to many more opportunities. Thank you.
All right, Gretchen, anything? Well, my final word before I ask for adjournment is just to wish everybody a happy holiday and to thank you again for just supporting our efforts throughout the year. We cannot do this without your team as well. And we just always want to be respectful of your efforts.
I do have one legal question for council. So now I can talk to Alan about any of this stuff without a problem?
Do I have to be there?
Pardon?
Do I have to? Mr. Coleman, yes, absolutely. After this meeting is adjourned, you guys can talk about whatever you'd like.
Whatever we want.
And whenever you want. I'm expecting long walks in Fort Lauderdale together.
Don't put me through that.
On sidewalks.
Lauder Trail. Madam Chair, I would like to just thank my team for their incredible diligence, their hard work, their creativity, their resiliency. Thank you for always stepping up and doing an incredible job. I'd like to provide a special thank you to Katya, who put together that video for you, Alan. So great job. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. We need a motion to adjourn, please.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Yes.
Aye.